This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
She Dares the Devil comes off the turn, leading by 2.5 lengths. Impeccable Styles up in the second. Miss T2 is fully extended. And then it's Byroness on the grandstand side in fourth. 1 furlong to go. She Dares the Devil has a lead by 2 lengths over Impeccable Style. Outside of Byroness as they come down to the finish. It's She Dares the Devil in the Indiana Oaks.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Looking at Lucky, coming at him and coming on. To the inside seat, Maximus Gatto, they've less than a furlong to go. And looking at Lucky has power to the lead. Looking at Lucky by 2. To the inside, racing in second, the Sky is No Limit. And St. Maximus Gatto, it's looking at Lucky to win the 16th running of the Indiana Derby.
It is Channel Cat. Here's Ya Primo driving through on the inside. Channel Makers in the middle. Arklow is in behind them. Olympico's on the far outside. It's Channel Cat, Ya Primo, Channel Maker on the outside. Arklow, late speed from Zulu Alpha. They're coming down to the line. And Channel Cat just kept on going. Channel Cat won it from Ya Primo. And then came Arklow and Channel Maker.
Now here's Mike Penna and Angela Hermann.
Good morning once again, everyone. Welcome to the show that launched a network. It is the Equine Forum. It is all presented by TwinSpires and all right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, Angela Hermann, the Countess of Canterbury. Happy to have you in the starting gate with us once again as we say hello to all of you joining us across North America on Sirius 162, XM 207, along with our terrestrial partners, and streaming live worldwide right now on our website, horseracingradio.net. By the way, that's also where you can catch the podcast of this show and all of our shows after we finish up here this morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. Angela, good morning.
Good morning to you, Mike, and thank you for the lovely welcome once again. Another Saturday, we get to break things down in the world of racing, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, maybe not the weekend that we're going to see, the type of weekend we're going to see coming up when we get to weekends that are, let's call them Super Saturdays, where you have grade ones running from coast to coast, and we're going to be welcoming Del Mar to the fold pretty soon, and that's always fun when we get to the Del Mar Summer Meet. But we still have greatest stakes action. It's centered around 3 racetracks. You have the Indiana Derby Day taking place at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Saratoga has a couple of grade 2s that we're going to talk about, and then you have Prairie Meadows, which is celebrating Iowa Derby Day, featuring the grade 3 Cornhusker. So some solid races around the country, and really looking forward to diving into the show.
Yeah, good to see some regional markets may get their flowers, because this is the time of year when a lot of them host their marquee days. Like you mentioned, the Cornhusker going on this weekend, but really all over the place. Every summer meet, every smaller track that gets ready for their big day is probably in the process of doing that right now. So in getting to take a break from some of those Super Saturdays, we do get to explore the other corners of the horse racing world, so to speak.
Before we tell you about some of the storylines we're going to be talking about here this morning, Kevin Kirstein, our friend from Churchill Downs, and he handles Ellis Park and Turfway and Kentucky Downs. He does a lot of great work behind the scenes with all of those racetracks. He sent out a tweet this morning. If you're playing Ellis Park, keep in mind that they are going to be off the turf for their card this afternoon. So a little update for you on what's happening in Henderson, Kentucky.
Well, that should be just another part of the equation, too, because, I mean, at least, knock on wood, it hasn't been as much of a factor with the storms and everything as heat. It's been so hot across the country. That's what we've been having to keep our eyes on. But just add that into the mix, I suppose, and find some Ellis Mudders along the way. I'm sure he'll help us with that.
How about that card at Horseshoe Indy today? 8 stakes races. You have the Grade 3 Indiana Oaks and the Grade 3 Indiana Derby. Both solid races, especially the Indiana Derby.
And so much planning goes into those days, but getting the Indiana Derby and Oaks together and having them at this time of year is such a good play for them to take horses from the Triple Crown season onto the summer, onto some of the Super Saturdays like you talked about. And if they have bigger targets down the road, it's a perfect step to get there.
We're going to hear from somebody you know quite well, and that's Eric Halstrom. He's going to join us right around 9:40 Eastern. He is the Vice President, the General Manager of Horseshoe Indianapolis. He'll give us a preview of what this day is all about, what it means to the state programs, and what it means to horsemen who are competing on that card this afternoon.
And great to hear his perspective too, because he knows so much about not just, running things, but that track. He gets so into all aspects of it and tries to be very hands-on with everything. He'll have, I'm sure, all the answers to our questions, but he's very passionate about what he does. And I think that definitely comes through with every time he interacts with Eric, whether it be about his races, about maybe some of his favorite sporting teams, poor thing. Eric is a pleasure to talk to, and I'm sure we'll get a better picture of what the day's going to set up like and be more excited to bet it by the end of our conversation.
Poor thing, sporting teams. Who does Eric cheer for?
Oh, we'll find out. I'm going to save you the suspense. It's I know of one of them, and we've talked about the heartbreak. We'll probably talk about it again, but Eric can explain it himself.
Okay. All right. We'll bring that up with him at 9:40. I think they call that a tease in the radio business, right? We'll save that for later in the second hour of the program. We're also going to hear from the man who has won the Indiana Derby on 2 different occasions. That is trainer Bret Calhoun. He's going to send out Our Moneyman. He's the favorite in today's Indiana Derby, and he is a son of Bret's 2019 Indiana Derby winner, Mr. Money. So some cool storylines there to get into with Bret.
Well, talk about a busy man. I'm surprised that we're going to take 15 minutes of his time, but he's another one that has horses all over the place, and I want to hear how it gets broken down, especially when he has even more barns running during the summer. How do you pick who goes where? What are the perfect spots? What goes into it? Let's hear it all.
That's going to be a lot of fun. We're also going to dive into the racing action at Saratoga this afternoon. You have the Grade 2 Bowling Green, the Grade 2 Caress, and the Bowling Green is for the older marathoners at 1 3/8 miles on the turf, and then the Caress just the opposite. It's for the lady turf sprinters. So a couple of different angles to talk about there, and we'll dive into it with David Aragona. He's the morning line odds maker at the NYRA racetrack, so we'll talk to him at 9:20, and then at 8:15, just after our first break here in about 10 minutes, we're going to welcome trainer Madison Meyers to the program, and she'll talk to us about Desvio, who is going in the Bowling Green.
Oh, and good to get the ladies into the mix. Yeah, I'd love to hear how he's doing because of the aptitude that he did show at Keeneland. Big target waiting there at the end of the year, so we'll see how he's doing, how the rest of her stable's going, and what we expect for today.
Yeah, he's a cool horse, and I remember when he won the Sycamore at Keeneland last year. She came on the show afterwards. We spent an hour on my Trainer Talk program, which folks can listen to every Friday from 5 to 6. It's presented by Fasig-Tipton. I spent an hour talking about the life and careers of specific trainers when they joined me on the show. But Madison talked about Desvio, and she described him as a rogue, and then she sent me a video after the show via text, and it was him coming onto the track, and he's being very rambunctious. And she said, yeah, this is what I meant. He's a complete monkey when he gets on the racetrack. So hopefully he can control himself a little better when he gets out there at Saratoga this afternoon.
Let's see if maybe he's outgrown some of those quirky ways and see if he's really channeled some of that energy. It looks like he's picked right back up where he left off. So I'll be interested to hear it for myself. I have not heard that much about him, so we'll get to hear from her.
Yeah, the other cool thing is he's going to be accompanied by John Velasquez, who was aboard Desvio when he won the Sycamore at Keeneland. That was the first greatest stakes win in the career of Madison Meyers, so she's really pumped up about this horse. But Johnny V is tied with Georgie Velasquez, Jerry Bailey, and Javier Castellano with 3 victories apiece in the Bowling Green. So a win today with Desvio, and Johnny's going to stand atop that list.
Wow, already a who's who, and to put yourself at the top of that list, that's got to be one of those things up at Saratoga. You don't just have who's won the most meets or who's won the most races. You can even go race by race. And I mean, you see the list of the trainers and the jockeys who have won it over the years. To put yourself even in the mix on any of those, got to be quite an honor.
If you had to win one horse race, you absolutely have to win it. You have to pick one of those 4 jockeys to ride your horse. Which one you going with?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I have to go with the recency bias, I suppose. I mean, I would... Gosh. You caught me off guard with that one. I mean, I'm going to go with Johnny V just because he's still in the saddle. But, yeah, I think you could put just about anybody in the saddle on that and not have to worry about giving any sort of instructions. No problem there.
There's no wrong answer to the question, but I agree. I think I'm going to go Johnny V's direction among those 4 jockeys. If I absolutely have to win one race, crunch time, give me Johnny V.
Yeah. Yeah, well, in any kind of race, too. I mean, I watched one of the very first races I ever watched on TV. He was on a long shot. They were doing a feature on Johnny V. He had just really started trying to escape from the shadows of some other riders. Because you said Jorge Velasquez, but how long has it been since he's ridden French braids up until now, and the progress that he's made and the money that he's made? Easy to put him in the saddle with confidence. I would say Johnny V, too.
Yep, yeah. It's some cool angles there. We'll get into the Bowling Green and all those races we just mentioned throughout the program for you here this morning. Our poll question for you, let's throw that out now, because I think it's going to spark some conversation with us, but certainly some debate as well on our social media pages. If Horse of the Year was being given out today, we're about halfway through the year. If Horse of the Year was being given out today, who's your pick? And we'll give you two choices, because I think there are two clear-cut choices right now. Is it Magnitude or is it Golden Tempo? And I don't think this is an easy one. I won't be surprised if the voting's a lot closer than many people might think.
Yeah, I think that it could go recency bias, and we've seen Magnitude just very recently, but the body of work that both of them put up are so different that it's really what criteria in your mind determines the Horse of the Year, whether they've done it here or elsewhere, and just really, if you probably made some money on them too, that wouldn't hurt your vote.
Who would have thought Golden Tempo would be in this conversation going into the Kentucky Derby?
I know. And after just talking about him breaking his maiden not that long ago, 6-7 months ago, you take that ride with him, and it's hard not to imagine him at least being in the conversation for Horse of the Year. And it makes you excited to see what the rest of both his year and Magnitudes look like. But just seeing them square off and seeing the handicap division with the strength that it has this year, it's been a treat. And I don't think there's really a wrong answer in this poll question either, because so much can change at the end of the year. But what are your criteria for Horse of the Year, and who would you pick? We want to know.
If Horse of the Year were given out today, who wins it? Magnitude, Golden Tempo? Let us know your thoughts. You can go to @HRRN on X, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook. If you're a Facebook person and you want to cast your vote there, do it that way. And if you don't do social media, believe me, I get it. Email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, and let us know your pick for Horse of the Year as it sits right now here on July 11th. Well, you're going to hear from Fred Taylor of Mojo Racing later in this first hour. They have added a new member to the Mojo family. His name is Damascus Steel. He's going to tell you all about that horse, and he's going to tell you more about Mojo Racing when he joins us later in this first hour of the program. But Fred and Mojo, also the sponsors of our weekly Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question, and we've got a good one for you here this morning. Lee Delapina has it now.
Thanks, Mike and Angela. This week's Impossible Trivia question is brought to you by Mojo Racing Partners. Get your mojo working at MojoRacingPartners.com. In what Ian Fleming novel does super spy James Bond travel to Saratoga Racetrack? No Googling. We'll give out the answer at the end of the show.
All right, the answer comes your way right around 10:55 Eastern Time in the final segment of today's program. Angela, here's the full rundown for today. We're looking forward to it. Madison Meyers will join us at 8:15. Fred Taylor going to join us right around 8:40 this morning. Bret Calhoun, 9 o'clock. David Aragona, 9:20. Eric Halstrom, 9:40. 10 o'clock Eastern begins the third hour of the show. We kick it off with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kevin Kilroy has 3 races for you to watch and wager on with TwinSpires this afternoon. Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History comes up at 10:20. A story about a filly by the name of Handy Mandy, who was a star filly from the summer of 1927, bred by Keeneland founder Hal Price Headley. I think you're really going to enjoy his story. And then I Ask the Answer with Dale and Tim at 10:30. We're also going to include our draft for the Showdown 5 competition. It has been all Dale the last 3 years. He's won it 3 consecutive seasons. Can one of us dethrone Dale in the Showdown competition this year? And Angela, you get to participate for the very first time.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see if I can topple the king. I know it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to give it my best shot.
Yeah, just beat Dale, please.
Yeah, that's the only goal.
Somebody has to do it. Timmy and I can't do it.
Hey, I will do my best. I'm going to have some sleeper picks, but you'll see. We'll put together some winning rosters and hopefully at least gives Dale some competition. I want to beat him, but at least we got to make it competitive.
Lots to get to, including Madison Meyers talking about Desvio going in today's stake at Saratoga. That's the Bowling Green. We'll do that next on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Will you accept the Breeders' Cup Challenge? The chance to compete against the best in the world? The chance to race for a piece of over $34 million in purses and awards? The chance to prove you belong on racing's biggest stage? The chance to become a champion? Winning a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race gives you that opportunity with an invitation to horse racing's biggest event of the year, the Breeders' Cup World Championships at Keeneland, where finish lines become the start of a legacy and starting gates shine on the world stage. Win a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race and earn a guaranteed starting position in a Breeders' Cup race. Entry fees paid, a $10,000 nominator award, travel incentives, and more. Here, winning a Challenge Series race is just the beginning. See the full schedule of races around the globe and learn more at breederscup.com/challenge.
In thoroughbred racing, breathing itself requires energy. During intense exercise, most of the resistance to airflow occurs in the nasal passages, increasing the work required for every breath. Flared nasal strips support the nasal passages to reduce that resistance, lowering the work required for breathing. When breathing is easier, horses experience less fatigue, conserve energy, and can maintain efficient oxygen delivery during exercise. Studies also show that flared nasal strips reduce the severity of EIPH equivalent to Lasix. Flared nasal strips. Performance starts at the nose.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Anglophile has to go wide to the top of the stretch in fourth. Grand Sonata is hugging the rail, looking for some running room, but still fifth. A quarter mile to go. Utah Beach to catch. Grand Sonata comes up the inside. Safe Trip Home comes from the outside. Ohana Honor is now in behind horses. Safe Trip Home coming after Utah Beach. Grand Sonata toward the inside. And then a late charge from Desvio down the center of the course. Safe Trip Home gets ahead in front. Desvio is running on from the outside. 34-1 upset in the Sycamore. Desvio from deep in the pack for John Velasquez.
How about that? Desvio winning the Sycamore. Kurt Becker had the call. That was October 10th of last year at Keeneland, and a 34-1 upset, as you heard. Desvio back in action this afternoon in the Grade 2 Bowling Green at Saratoga. 12-1 on the morning line. You're probably not going to get 34-1. And once again, trainer Madison Meyers will give a leg up to the Hall of Famer John Velasquez, who was aboard for that win in the Sycamore back in October. Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Angela Hermann, ready to roll with Madison Meyers, who joins us now live from New York. Madison, good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Doing really well. What was going through your mind as you were listening to Kurt bring him home in the Sycamore right there?
Oh, I could listen to that a million times.
How many times have you watched that race, do you think?
A lot, yeah. We're fans of that replay.
I'm sure you are. I remember visiting with you right after you won that race, and that was the first greatest stakes victory of your training career. And you were talking about how it was going to take a little time to sink in. Well, here we are, all these months later. Has it fully sunk in?
I think so. You know, we've had 2 runs since then, and 3 runs, I guess, since then. And, it has. And he showed up in a really big way in the spring in the Elkhorn, and that was just really almost just as exciting. I mean, Burnham Square could be anything, and I know, he was well beaten by him, but to see Desvio come off the long layoff and put in another huge run on that kind of a stage, was just really, really exciting. So, yeah, it was great to see him show up after his winter break like that.
Hey, Madison, Angela here. And you did talk about his debut for the season running behind Burnham Square. That's got to be an exciting start to things. And Mike had told me about maybe this horse is a bit of a character when he goes to the track. And now that he's come back as a 5-year-old, has he outgrown any of those antics, or is he still the same old Desvio?
No, he hasn't outgrown any of them. And he's got some new tricks. So, yeah, I mean, he keeps us on our toes, you know. We've moved into Fair Hill. We moved in here at the end of May, and he seems to have really settled in here. He's in an install where he's got a huge window to the outside and right by the door so he can, you know, see all the things. And he's just seems to really enjoy training here. And, you know, he still gets his turnout in the morning, which is, I think, a huge part of keeping him happy. It's a bit of a long walk back to the barn. So, you know, he keeps his rider, Rob Massey, on his toes most days, coming off the track and all of that. But, no, he hasn't outgrown his antics.
What are these new tricks that he has? Because I heard about some of the old ones, but what are these new tricks that he has?
You know, one thing he seems to be a little bit better about here for whatever reason is when we were at Middleburg, he had a lot of moves right when Rob would get on in the shed row and stuff. Here, he's a lot more settled in the shed row, and I'm not sure if it's because it's a lot wider or, you know, whatever, just a different environment. But there's just a lot of leaping around when he finishes his gallop and in the beginning of his gallop. You know, he's just an excitable horse. And I think that from what I hear, that's a lot of the Yoshidas. And I've had one other Yoshida before, and they do tend to be a little bit hot-tempered. He's not a mean horse, but he's playful, and he can get a little aggressive sometimes. And, you know, he's funny because he's got a very sweet, friendly face, and he's gray, and he kind of draws you in, and then he's quick to take a nip and things like that.
Yeah, he's a cool horse, and he always shows up. He might not always win, but he always seems to run a really solid race. So in his 3 starts since winning the Sycamore, he's been 3rd, 2nd, and 4th, and all 3 times he's faced really strong competition. What have you seen from him in those 3 starts that gives you confidence he's coming in to this one in peak form?
You know, the more I think about the race at Delaware, I don't know if, I mean, obviously we're on the inner today, but I feel like the turns are a little bit tight and the stretch a little short maybe for him, even going that 1.5 miles. And I know we're cutting back up in Saratoga, you know, but I think I might have him a little sharper this time. And, you know, it's tough with a horse like him that really does relish the longer distances to find the right spots and, you know, so on. But I think that the timing of this race sets us up for hopefully a good fall. And I think it's hard with a really deep closer, you know, things have to really kind of go their way. And, you know, I just hope we get a little bit of an honest pace today and something to run at. And, you know, hopefully he shows up. You know, we were on the rail at Delaware too. And I mean, it's hard to really blame much on that because he was on the rail in the Elkhorn as well. But, I just think Delaware plays a little bit different than Keeneland with the wide sweeping turns. And, you know, hopefully the actual course itself, the grass cover and stuff is a little more similar to Keeneland. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's never run up there. Obviously Saratoga is daunting, at all times, but, we're here to take a swing, and we've taken swings before and it's worked out in our favor.
So after today, you mentioned that it can be tough to find spots for him. What would your ideal course be to maybe get back to Keeneland? Because obviously he likes it there. And he seems to like a little bit of cut in the ground, so maybe it wouldn't matter where you end up just as long as they stay on the turf, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, he doesn't mind cut in the ground. I think he's okay on firm as well, but he relishes a little bit of cut in the ground, and I know some horses don't, so sometimes that plays into our favor. I'd have to speak with the ownership and see, where we would go next. But, the Colonial Cup down at Colonial Downs in September, that obviously set us up well for the Sycamore. And I think that would have to be, considered for sure, and kind of, stick to what worked last year.
Madison Meyers, the trainer of Desvio in today's Bowling Green at Saratoga, joining us here on the Equine Forum on HRRN. Madison, I mentioned earlier that you give a leg up to one of the greatest of all time, John Velasquez, the Hall of Famer, who is tied at the top of the list with Georgie Velasquez, Jerry Bailey, and Javier Castellano. They've each won the Bowling Green 3 times, and if Johnny can find a way to win it with Desvio, he'll stand alone atop that list. How cool is it to see Johnny V walk over to your horse and to be able to give him a leg up?
It's pretty cool. It's hard not to fangirl sometimes. You're like, is this real life? But, Johnny just gets along with him, which is important with a horse like him, because, he does have his little idiosyncrasies, and, he takes a lot of riding and a lot of precision with the timing of making your move and that sort of thing, which, I can't think of many better that would be able to time a ride like that, going 1.5 miles and 1 3/8 miles and, so on. But I think that's the biggest thing with him is timing when you get him going, because it takes a bit to get him going. And Johnny seems to really click with him and kind of know what's going to work and what's not, and, who to sort of sit behind and that sort of thing.
What has Johnny said to you after he got off Desvio the last couple of times he's ridden him? They weren't winning efforts, but they were good efforts. What has he said to you about the horse?
He always shows up, and I think Johnny's always been really complimentary of him and the efforts that he's put forward. And, we sort of discussed the differences in the course after the Cape and Lopen and that sort of thing. I think he was really pleased with his effort in the Elkhorn. And, when you see a horse like Burnham Square pull off like that, pull away from the field, you're not catching him. But to come off the bench and beat some really good horses and run second in a spot like that, I think we were all delighted. It was sort of like a win. And, the Cape and Lopen hasn't really worked out for us the last 2 years. And, maybe it's just not his jam. He won the Kent there as a 3-year-old, so it's easy to sort of think, he really likes it here. But that was going 1.8 miles, and he had been running, shorter and that sort of thing. And it's just a different setup, going 1.5 miles. And I think as he's gotten older, he sort of relishes the longer distances and maybe the bigger sweeping turns. So, yeah. Those are the things that we've discussed, but I feel like he's doing really well going into this spot. It's tough. It's tough for sure, but he's been facing tough company, and he sort of enjoys going new places, and he's such a curious, alert horse that shipping into somewhere new and a new paddock and things like that sort of, I think he thrives on that a little bit.
Burnham Square has put in some freakishly impressive efforts throughout the season. Is he the best turf marathoner in America right now?
Oh, I think you'd have to. Yes, absolutely. And what a nice horse he was on the dirt, and it's not even what he wants, obviously. He's a serious horse. When you see a horse kick away with that sort of acceleration at the end of a 1.5 mile race, it was that performance in Kentucky was really jaw-dropping.
Madison, we know it's a busy time for you. You're working. We appreciate a few minutes here this morning. All the best with Desvio this afternoon. Let's go get it done in the Bowling Green.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Good luck, Madison.
Yeah, she's sharp, isn't she?
Oh, yeah. And obviously knows and loves the horse very much. Easy to root for. It's nice to see a story where, I mean, she's had him from the start, so she knows him back and forth, and taking him over to Fairhill and really getting to tell us the whole tale of how he's progressed, not just a couple of races, just how his career has gone and what she expects. And she's very frank about it. It was a pleasure to talk to her.
He's going to have to bring his A game in that Bowling Green this afternoon. The distance may be a touch shorter than what he would ideally like, as she referenced that. It's 1 mile and 3/8. She thinks that she probably has him tighter than he was last time out, which should bode well at this distance. But he has to contend with Old Crazy Bone from the barn of Mike Maker. And then the horse just to his outside is the 9-5 morning line favorite in Fort George. That's a European, and we know how difficult they can be to deny in these turf races when they come over.
Yeah, but how difficult it can be to win a horse with a race of this caliber when you haven't been out since March. You know, if he does get some pace in front of him, and that looks to be the problem to me. I don't know if there's going to be an overwhelming amount of it. I just I would hope for a good run for him, because he seems to really like some of the circumstances that are coming at him both later this summer and the fall. Yeah. So needs a big effort, but she said they're taking a shot, and I got to commend it, because if he's trying to stay running and trying to stay on a schedule, sometimes you just got to go where you got to go, and he's running well enough where he's earned a shot at Saratoga, so good luck to them.
Minaret Station from the barn of Will Walden, another contender in that Bowling Green this afternoon. Jose Ortiz, who has just been in Fuego, he gets the leg up from Will aboard Minaret Station. They're 2-1. And then I think the wild card, other than Desvio, the other horse I look at as the wild card in the Bowling Green is Carson's Run from our friend Terry Finley and West Point Thoroughbreds. Miguel Clement, the trainer, Joel Rosario aboard. This horse was so highly regarded when he was winning big races. He's a Grade 1 winner. He won the Saratoga Derby Invitational back in 2024. He came back and won the Grade 3 Jockey Club Derby Invitational that same season. But he's 0 for 5 since those victories. So he is a wild card. If he runs his race, he could be dangerous.
Oh, I loved him in that Aqueduct race. And he just, he didn't run very much that day, but maybe the hope that is he's back at one of his favorite tracks. He's obviously doing well enough where they put him in this spot. You know, they had some other choices probably, and he's in here. So hopefully he's turned the corner from that recent rest and from those recent races and can get back on the beam.
Did you say you loved him because he's a son of Cupid?
Oh, how did you see right through me? Yes, of course. Of course. I play all Sons of Cupid religiously, and I just love Carson's Run. No, I really liked him that day. The fact that he's by Cupid is just a little gravy on top.
By the way, congratulations to Miguel Clement and our little A, Acacia Clement. The news coming out this week, Acacia posted it on social media that she is now in full. So there will be a little baby Clement coming later this year for those two, and really fired up about it. Can't wait to meet the little man or the little lady when they arrive.
Well, congratulations to them. They got a lot going on. So adding a family member into the mix, my goodness, I hope they can keep that pace going, because in the Clement household, there's already a lot of activity, and we get to see a lot of them in the winner's circle and otherwise. So congratulations to them. Hope the little one adds nothing but happiness and joy to an already pretty good life.
Yeah, so happy for both of them. All right, your Legends of the Turf segment is coming up next. We've got a short commercial break. Then we'll welcome Fred Taylor, the man behind Mojo Racing. They have a brand new horse to tell you about. He'll do it next, right after your Legends of the Turf.
Of this great thoroughbred might easily fit the needed scenario for a 5-star bit of Hollywood magic. All the necessary ingredients are indeed there. In the summer of 1940, because of protracted German bombing of the British Isles, the British Bloodstock Agency offered for sale 5 stallions to American interests. Mr. C.V. Whitney purchased one who had won the Epsom Derby in record time. The contemporaries of the time cast a rather jaundiced eye, so to speak, on the purchase, in that the horse was considered to be essentially a sprinter with little consequent, at least apparently, chance of upgrading American breeding strains. The fact is, the 7-year-old gray very nearly never made it to America at all. Now, that in itself is a fascinating story which bears retelling. He was transported to America by ship, or at least was supposed to be, and accordingly installed in a crate and hoisted aboard a vessel which was part of a convoy headed across the Atlantic. Soon after sailing, the captain of the freighter discovered the horse's bill of lading, and as his manifest forbade him from taking on livestock, the horse was returned to the dock. That, as it turned out, was a providential stroke of good fortune. You see, that particular vessel was torpedoed by a German U-boat and went to a watery grave at the bottom of the briny deep with nary a trace of a survivor. A subsequent freighter brought the equine specimen to American shores. At the New York dock assignated as the debarkation point, there was no horse unloading equipment, so it was decided to take him off the ship via a long and treacherously steep passenger gangplank. Well, he stood at the top, pensively surveying the scene, and waited, filled with curiosity, steadfastly refusing debarkation. Straw was used to line the gangplank, and he was fed hay, all to no avail. Eventually, he was enticed down with sugar. Curiously enough, many of this stallion's get demonstrated that self-same temperament which was displayed at the New York dock in that year of 1940. When one of our subject stallion's daughter's first flight with a crafty veteran reinsman Hetty Eddie Arcaro in the irons came out onto the racetrack for the 1946 Futurity, she stopped for an extended time in front of the stands, not acting up, mind you, just looking up and down the track until her curiosity was fully satisfied. She then went calmly, quietly, and professionally to the starting gate and promptly galloped off to an impressive score over the very best colts the East could offer by way of opposition. In the breeding shed, this stud was awesome, and the reason was really quite simple. He had 5 characteristics that were of paramount importance in passing on to new foals: soundness, speed, conformation, fertility, and something that cannot be seen or measured, his natural intelligence and temperament, which made his progeny very easy to handle. He was in his prime in the breeding shed, the unequivocal, undisputedly foremost broodmare sire in the world. All told, he begat 68 stakes winners and was North America's leading sire in 1946, and he was a leading sire for 14 straight years. That marvelous gray stallion knew and appreciated human affection, and yet did not exploit it. He was never too busy to stroll to his paddock fence for an endearing pat. He was kind, gentle, and uncomplicated. His nickname was Toby, but this great stallion, whose name is indelibly etched in the now yellowing pages of American racing history, was Mahmoud.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Scott Mallory's Phasing Tipped in July consignment offers serious sire power. Hip 11 is by Red Hot Sire of Vacoma, the sire of multiple greatest stakes horses. Hip 54 by Yopon, the sire of stakes-winning fillies Goodall and Veneta. Hip 76 by Millionaire Grade 1 winning first crop sire Dr. Shivel, who won greatest stakes at 2, 3, and 4. And Hip 95, a colt by Grade 1 place Loggins with a Blaine Cross, already with a half-sibling who's earned $190,000. Don't miss the Scott Mallory consignment in Barn 8 at Phasing Tipped in July.
Join us for Indiana Derby Day, Saturday, July 11th at Horseshoe Indianapolis. More than $1 million in purses leading up to the state's richest horse race. Plus, register to win a $3,000 Derby mega bet, play in the $2,500 Derby Legends contest, stop by the cigar rolling station, and grab your best hat for the $1,000 Derby hat contest. Indiana Derby Day, beginning at noon, Saturday, July 11th, presented by Caesars Race and Sportsbook at Horseshoe Indianapolis, located off I-74 at exit 109 in Shelbyville.
It's time now to shine the spotlight on the Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week.
Harper's Corner or Voyager, Harper's Corner has another gear. And that's that. Harper's Corner will cruise to victory in the Schuylerville, widening to win by almost 5 lengths.
Harper's Corner, the daughter of Darley Stallion Speaker's Corner, with that impressive victory, wiring the field in Saratoga's Schuylerville to become her freshman sire's first stakes winner. She posted an 88 by her speed figure, while equaling the stakes record, and drew off to win by 5.5 lengths. A dominating victory, which makes Harper's Corner your Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week. Darley Stallion Speaker's Corner recorded a 114 buyer in the Carter Stakes and is the fastest son of Street Sense. Learn more about Speaker's Corner and all the Darley Stallions by visiting darleyamerica.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
9 Ball is the leader around the far turn, compressed 2 lengths away. Second, just a half length. Damascus Steel, third to the inside. Dr. Finn, fourth to the outside, top of the stretch. Damascus Steel starts to pick up the chase, comes off the rail from between horses, trying to reel in 9 Ball. 9 Ball leads. Damascus Steel takes aim from the outside as they work their way toward the final furlong. Damascus Steel ranges up on the outside. 9 Ball fights on to the inside, and these two begin trading punches past the 16th pole. It is Damascus Steel in front. Damascus Steel by almost a full length now kicks clear. Damascus Steel, Iran Ortiz Jr. to win it. 9 Ball was home second, then it was Tobin Lee third, followed by Compressed across the wire in fourth.
Mike Penna, Angela Hermann, that's Baron and Countess, with you on this Saturday morning. Kurt Becker had the call of Damascus Steel winning that race at Keeneland April 24th. It was race number 4, and it was a second consecutive victory for Damascus Steel, who now has a new home. He's been claimed by our friends at Mojo Racing. He is now part of that family, and we are looking forward to him and to his next start as he transitions into the new surroundings. Fred Taylor is the man behind Mojo Racing. He joins us now here on HRN. Fred, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing today?
We're doing great, my friend. Congratulations on Damascus Steel.
Well, thank you very much. We put in a lot of work to bring him to Mojo Racing, and we're excited about what he can do for us going forward.
He's 2 for 6 lifetime. I mentioned those 2 consecutive wins. He's a horse that is by champion Matoli, so his pedigree is fantastic. Talk to me more about what you saw in Damascus Steel that led you that direction.
Well, I mean, obviously, he's our ticket to paradise, right? So we have 2 tickets, and we used one to obtain Damascus Steel. But in all seriousness, as you noted, he's a proven winner at the level that we're racing. He has consistent speed ratings in each start leading up to the race that we claimed him out of. He's a lightly raced 3-year-old, which is unique. But he still has his non-winners of 3 conditioned for us, so we're looking to take advantage there. And he shows some potential versatility at the next level, but if that doesn't work out, we know he can get the job done if we have to drop him.
He's going to go to Andrew McKeever, who does a fantastic job with your Mojo horses. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, Andrew's been wonderful. He came to us when we were restarting our bluegrass campaign last year. He's a true horseman throughout, and he understands what we're trying to do, and he's helping us get there. So we work together to find Damascus Steel. We're using a little bit of an angle or an edge that we were hoping that others might kind of look the other way on him, so that we can get some racing action back, because it's been a little difficult this summer because the market is so red hot in Kentucky and claiming is in high demand. But we got him, and so our next step is we brought the horse back to Keeneland, which is where Andrew runs his operation. And our vet's going to do a thorough evaluation of him from head to hoof, nose to tail. But he came out of the race in good order, and there are no apparent issues, and he looks to be sound. But one of the things we are going to do to try to help the horse, we're going to, as they say, make the ultimate equipment change on him. So he's going to need a little bit of time off for being gelded. But it's a good thing for this horse, because we think it's going to help sharpen his focus and reduce any behavior issues that he might have, if there are any. Gelding is a good thing for horses that aren't going to go on to become stallions, because it makes them leaner and less bulky, and it improves their performance consistency and their longevity. So that's the next step for him. And it'll take him about 4 weeks to bounce back from that. And if all goes well, he'll be back in action here pretty soon.
Angela, I think I was the one who was supposed to go, ooh, when Fred brought up the gelding thing.
I'm sorry about that, big guy. That's unfortunate for him, but you did mention it's a way to put a horse on a different sort of track, and that does lead me to my next question. What does put a horse on Mojo's radar? It can't just be a horse that's not looking to be gelded, but could be gelded to maybe get some control. But you look for horses with conditions, certain types of pedigrees, certain types of preference for surface. What checks all the boxes for a horse to get on your claiming radar?
Well, I think for anybody, but particularly for us, the first thing you have to ask is where do you want to race? And we're focusing on the bluegrass circuit, so we're looking for horses that are KTDF registered and can run in Kentucky competitively. We're also looking for horses that will be consistently good at the level that we want to race. And as I mentioned before, we're focusing on the mid-level claiming, so the $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 level. So we're focusing on horses that have shown productivity there. You have to decide how much you want to pay, and so we had a bloodstock budget based on some money that we had parlayed from a previous claim. So we decided we want to pay $40. That was where we were going. And then we started looking at the past performances at the level. Can the horse compete at the level? How does it do if you move it up? What are your options if you have to move it down? You look at the racing patterns and trends most recently, but also of the past. And then the last thing you have to do is you have to evaluate any of the unknowns, because in the claiming game, there are things that aren't apparent that you have to decide you can live with if you receive those once you make the claim. So those are the key things that we're focused on when we're combing through the horses that are available through these claiming races.
Fred, I know you're excited to be competing in the bluegrass and running at Churchill, running at Keeneland, at Ellis Park, whatever the case might be. But my goodness, you're also running in some really tough competition, and it makes it difficult to get horses claimed because everybody wants to be in Kentucky right now.
Without a doubt, the market is red hot for racing in Kentucky, but it's the center stage. That's where we want to be, and you have to dive in with focus and determination and patience in order to select the horses and receive the ones that you're seeking. But the KTDF incentives and the increased purses at all levels are driving demand to get in on the action, especially in the claiming game. But the flip side of all that demand is you get increased volume of people trying to claim the same horse, and it's not uncommon for multiple horses to be claimed out of the same race. I'm not sure if you're aware of or if your listeners have heard of the McElroy story, but that horse had 21 claim slips dropped on it at the Churchill meet. So there's a lot of people trying to claim horses right now. And so we encountered a little unexpected pause in our racing activities because we couldn't win a shake the whole Churchill Downs spring meet, and it took us 8 tries before we successfully claimed Damascus Steel at Ellis Park.
All right, so Damascus Steel, I mentioned being by Champion Matoli. He's also out of a Chilean-bred mare, and the name Damascus Steel and the original owner and how this all came about is quite interesting, too. Tell me that story.
Yeah, so when I was doing a little research on the horse just to try to make the connection with the name and, was he sold at auction or was he a homebred? He was actually bred by Osama Abazali. He's a Chilean produce exporter. And I believe one of his mares, the horse comes from one of his mares, which was a Chilean mare named Just Fine. And so that started to make sense then, why anyone would breed to a mare from Chile. And the horse had been racing at Keeneland, and he won at the fairgrounds, and they sent him up to Keeneland, and Brad Cox trained him at the time, and he won there. And so that put him on the radar when we were looking at the past performances. And the name Damascus Steel is it's been used multiple times. This isn't the first horse that's been named Damascus Steel. I think there are 6 others, and one's been a quarter horse and one's an Irish bred horse. But nonetheless, it makes sense that the Samaya stable would name this horse Damascus Steel because Damascus Steel is a steel forging process where they twist or blend the metals, and it creates this ripple effect in the metal. And so Mr. Abazali is from Jerusalem, and I would imagine that he had some ties to the Damascus region. I think he tells a story about, I think his grandfather was in the Turkish army in World War I or something like that. So nonetheless, there's some unique ties to the mare, the name, and the region of the world that he comes from. And so we have big shoes to fill to try to get Damascus Steel back to his winning ways, and I'm confident that Andrew will help us get there.
Well, I'm sure you've got more than a few people intrigued about Damascus Steel. If they would want to join Mojo Racing or they want to get involved in a partnership, how could somebody get involved?
Oh, yeah. Well, just like the slogan for Mike's favorite steakhouse in Lexington, there's always room for one more in the Mojo Racing group. So apologies to Tony for borrowing his slogan there, but we have 1% to 5% general partnership shares available. If anybody wants to join our racing group, it's $400 per share to enter, and that just covers the claim amount. And then it will be $125 a quarter, which covers our budgeted operating expense for the quarter. So you just go to MojoRacingPartners.com, and on the left nav, click Join the Fun, and there's the participation information that you fill out and send back to us along with your entry fee, and we'll get your Mojo working.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, I love it. It's such an easy way to do it. By the way, you can keep up with Damascus Steel on social media, too. If you want to follow Mojo Racing there, we highly recommend it. Each week, we bring you our Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question, which our producer, Lee Delapina, puts together. So you can follow along with the trivia question, too. But if you want to follow them and follow Damascus Steel, go to @Go2, that's the number 2, Mojo on X. And are there other social medias too? Facebook?
Yeah, we do Facebook, Instagram, Thread. So we post consistent content on each space. So whatever your preference is, you'll see the same information, and it's all about what we're doing and trying to help people learn the game from the ownership side.
Fred, I promised you at the end of the conversation we would have a minute or two left for you to tell me about something new you're getting into in Mojo Racing, a new endeavor, if you will, and it's called the Mojo Minute. So tell me all about that.
Yeah, so even though we haven't had racing action for a couple of months, we've been working really hard behind the scenes, not only to claim Damascus Steel, but we've been working on a side project that I want to give your listeners a little preview of what's to come. Because, since 2006, Mojo's been providing safe racehorse ownership opportunities, and the word SAFE is an acronym for simple, affordable, fun, and engaging. And one of the things that I've learned over the past 20 years about new owners is they really don't know they really don't know much about how racing works. And so to give folks a better understanding of the ownership side of the sport from the inside out, I've been partnering with a recording studio near Lexington called Jet Lane Records, and they do really cool stuff, music, TV, video, And they also produced Mojo's 20th anniversary rockin' video that I encourage everyone to check out. It's a nice montage of all of our winners over the years. And so we're producing a series of short videos called the Mojo Minute, and the first segments should be ready around the end of August, and the topics will be about operating expenses, understanding different racing levels and class tiers, things like bloodstock acquisition, a day in a horse's life at the barn and in training, and what we do to go through race selection. And the overall intent of these videos is to help new owners understand what we're talking about when we buy horses, prepare for races, and evaluate their performance, and why understanding these things is relevant to their overall ownership experience. So thanks for giving me a minute to plug that, and stay tuned. There's more to come with this side project in the near future.
So cool. Fred, I can't thank you enough for your support of the trivia question. By the way, the trivia question here this morning, I'm going to read it to you right now. Let's see if you can guess it. I'm going to put you on the spot because, to me, this one is truly impossible here this morning. In what Ian Fleming novel does super spy James Bond travel to Saratoga racetrack?
Oh, I love this question. I'm a big James Bond fan. I'm not going to spoil it for your listeners because we want to tease them to hang on to the end, Mike. Come on.
You know the answer.
Yeah, indeed. But we'll catch up with Lee at the end of the program, and we'll figure out when James Bond or what novel James Bond appeared at Saratoga.
I love it.
Keep you in suspense.
Fred, I appreciate it. The answer to the Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question comes to our listeners. We're going to reveal it at the end of the show, 10:55 Eastern. Fred, appreciate it. Enjoy the afternoon, and best of luck with Damascus Steel. Congratulations.
Well, thanks so much. As always, I appreciate your support. As I mentioned before, you're part of my Saturday routine. I wouldn't have it any other way. So thanks, guys, and thanks to all your listeners for following Mojo, and good luck with them guessing the impossible trivia question this morning.
Appreciate it, Fred. Fred Taylor, Mojo Racing, and yeah, check them out on social media and their website. They really do a great job, and now they've got Damascus Steel, so looking forward to seeing him in action in the coming months. Going to get to a break. We'll come back, get you set for hour number 2, and tell you what's coming up in hour 3. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Woodford Feed, where tradition merges with technology. Family owned since 1940 and providing exceptional customer service, Woodford Feed specializes in the highest quality feed, using only the finest ingredients to ensure optimal nutrition for your horses. In addition, Woodford Feed can help with all your farm needs, including field seed, fertilizer, and weed control. So whether your horse is sprinting around the racetrack or has a foal by her side, count on Woodford Feed to provide the quality nutrition necessary to perform at the highest level. Woodford Feed, Versailles, Kentucky.
James Brown and Bill Cowher welcoming you back to Dennis Melvin's house. It's time for the Midnight Snack Run.
This is one tricky obstacle course. Sticking to healthy habits in this kitchen is going to take focus and determination, but it can be done, JB.
He's already entered the snack part of the course, and he's eyeballing a jar of chocolatey candy.
That is tempting right off the start.
Uh-oh, he's reaching, Bill, but he pushes it away.
Great stiff arm.
He's approaching a plate of delicious-looking iced cookies.
Oh, Dennis, you only want one of those.
He blows right by him for the apple.
Oh, the fridge. It's make or break time, JB.
He stares down some rich-looking treats. Uh-oh, looks like he's headed for the soda. Wait, he jukes left, grabs the water bottle, and shuts the door with his elbow in record time.
Unbelievable move. I gotta see that again.
And he's out. He even turned off the light.
That's the way you execute a midnight snack run.
Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Want to get the latest HRRN content directly on your computer or mobile device? Then subscribe to our podcast using the Podbean app or Apple Podcasts. Just go to hrrn.podbean.com on your computer and click follow, or download the Podbean app and search HRRN. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and listen to our latest episodes anytime. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our podcasts today. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
As they come toward the top of the stretch, it is Bubby, joined by Our Moneyman, and joined by Where the Hits Are, with Mo Gumbo straightening away in fourth. Then on the outside, Vitruvius, and finally Lafitte's Legacy has tailed off after 3/4. In 1 minute 12.60 seconds, Our Moneyman, 1 furlong to go. Our Moneyman slight advantage. Where the Hits Are, and Bubby is back in third, and these two pass the 16 to settle it. Our Moneyman, Where the Hits Are, with Axel Concepcion. Our Moneyman has won the Crescent City Derby.
John G. Dooley with the call of the Crescent City Derby at the fairgrounds, won by Our Moneyman, who is the morning line favorite in this afternoon's Indiana Derby for trainer Bret Calhoun, who goes in search of a third victory in that race. And Bret's set to join us coming up in just about 5 minutes or so to kick off hour number 2. Our Equine Forum poll question for you here this morning. If Horse of the Year was being given out today, who is your pick? And we gave you 2 choices because, in my opinion anyway, and Angela, I think you'll agree, there are really 2 clear-cut horses right now that would be the 1-2 choices in that conversation if it were happening today. Magnitude and Golden Tempo. I told you it would be close. 53% of HRN Nation saying Magnitude over Golden Tempo right now.
And that's, I guess, maybe where I thought it would be. These two bring very different cases to the table. So it brings out people's own personal preferences, opinions, whether or not you think an older horse should always get it. If Golden Tempo is just the 3-year-old, you can make a case really for both of them. You can make a strong case for both of them. So I think that poll will probably stay fairly even, but it's a good thing to ponder. Not that anything's being given out at this time of year, but how much that answer could change from now until the end of the year is what makes it exciting to talk about.
Yeah, and it's based on their resume to this point. Paul tweets to us and brings up a great point. He says, Horse of the Year cannot go to a 3-year-old until he beats older horses. Yeah, I would agree with that, because in order for him to be Horse of the Year at the end of the season, he's going to have to knock off older horses at some point, maybe a couple of times. I agree, but we're talking about their resume to this point in the season. If it were given out today, based on what they've done so far in 2026, Magnitude or Golden Tempo, Laura says that she hit the button for Golden Tempo, but actually thinks that if the Eclipse Award were given out at this point in the year, it could easily be a dead heat. And we're pretty close to a dead heat in the voting.
And there we have it. Yeah. And I want to see them, of course, face off sometime in the future. But it's the same question you get when a filly or mare gets put into the equation. Did she beat the boys? And when you have a group of older males like this, they are the gold standard. You have to beat them. Magnitude's beaten them. Is Golden Tempo going to jump up and beat them? Is somebody else going to? Is Nitrogen going to throw her name into the mix? That's what this is all about. But these two right now, I think, sit as the front runners. So it'll be fun to compare not just the results from today, but to match them up in the future to see how well this form does hold up. Because it's been
it would be interesting if we're asking this question at the end of the year, right? The very same question.
It's been a strong first half of the year, really, not just for them, but for a lot of horses. A lot more headlines than I think we've gotten some previous years. So I want to see how things do pan out. And I'm curious what other people think, too.
You can vote on our social media pages at HRN on X, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook. Or if you don't do social media, you can email the show. That's what Sean in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania has done. And he said, it's tough to choose, but I'll go with beating the best older horses convincingly. I like his style, talking about Magnitude. Not sure about the 3-year-olds right now. Golden Tempo is a very nice horse. the Breeders' Cup hopefully will settle it. And there you go. Just like we talked about, it'd be fun to be asking this very same question as we get to the end of October.
Precisely. And a lot will change from now to then, but it might just bolster the reputations of these two as well. You don't know who's going to be throwing their name into the ring. These 3-year-olds just are starting to get going. Some of them, the ones who weren't on the Triple Crown trail, the late bloomers, they have to come and prove their mettle not only against their own generation, but yes, against the older horses. So maybe that list expands and we have an even better Breeders' Cup Classic than we anticipated.
That would be really fun to see. I want to tell you about Tony's, but I was going to do it a little differently here this morning. That's why I was hesitating. Every week I tell you about the food and the atmosphere and the people, and that's all fantastic. You heard Fred Taylor steal the line from Tony Ricci, the owner of Tony's, when Tony says there is always room for one more at our table, and that's true, but you better make your reservations quickly because it doesn't take long for those things to fill up. I had retweeted a post from Tony's of Lexington earlier this week, and it was about, hey, what a place for a date night. And it was a video that Tony's of Lexington had put out there on social media, and I loved it. And as I retweeted it, my friend Scott Wyckoff, who works at WBAL in Baltimore, he's joined us on the program many times. He made a trip to Lexington. He went to Tony's. He took my advice, went to Tony's. He said it was one of the highlights of their trip to Lexington. And I was going to read it verbatim, but I don't have it in front of me. So, Scott, I hope I got it right, but he said he just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was one of the highlights of his trip, and I've heard that from so many of you. Thank you for supporting Tony's of Lexington. I hope you continue to do it when you're in town for the horse sales, for the race meets, whatever the case might be. All right, we're going to get to a quick little 10-second station ID. When we come back, it's time to welcome Bret Calhoun to the program as we kick off hour number 2. That's next here on the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
All right, welcome back. Hour 2 of 3. Bret Calhoun set to kick it off momentarily. We'll talk Indiana Derby with Bret. We'll talk to David Aragona about the 2 Grade 2 races taking place at Saratoga this afternoon. He's the morning line odds maker in New York. Eric Halstrom will join us from Horseshoe Indianapolis. He's the vice president and GM. He'll have more about Indiana Derby Day. And then Angela, hour 3 begins with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kevin Kilroy will have 3 races to watch and wager on with TwinSpires this afternoon. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20. Dale Tim, 10:30 Eastern. And that segment includes our draft for the Showdown 5 competition, which begins this afternoon.
Oh, bring it on, fellas. I'm looking forward to this draft.
A filly facing the boys. You're Nitrogen. You're Rachel.
just call me Rachel. Yeah, no problem. I'll take you guys on. Maybe we can get one of those exciting finishes down to the line. I'll get the bob. But I know I have my work cut out for me, and I'm ready.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Like I say, it's been a fun competition. This is our 5th consecutive year of doing it. Dale has won each of the last 3 seasons. So Dale has pulled off his own Triple Crown. He's going for the Grand Slam in our Showdown competition this year. And again, the draft coming up later this morning in the final segment of the show with Dale and with Tim Wilkin. A 3-peat would be kind of nice for trainer Bret Calhoun. He's already taken the Indiana Derby twice. Now he'll try to do it with Our Moneyman, who is 4-1 on the morning line in today's race. And he joins us now here on HRRN. Bret, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
All right, what's it going to take to make it 3?
Have the fastest horse.
I knew that was coming.
Have a little racing luck. We feel good coming into the race. He's trained great. The horses continue to give us a little confidence. The last couple of races, he seems to be on the improve, and we like our chances today.
He is a son of your first Indiana Derby winner, Mr. Money. That's pretty cool. Louisiana bred. This horse can really run.
Yeah, no, he really can. And he's, like I said, he's gotten better and better. Had a good campaign over the winter against restricted company. Had a couple of hiccups. He got sick down there on me. I missed one of the races, and actually it turned into be a blessing in disguise because it kept him fresh for the 3-year-old races around the country now. So, and he just seems to have gotten better every race.
he proved he belonged at this level with that runner-up finish to Further Ado in the Grade 3 Matt win. Let's go back to that race. What did you make of that performance?
Well, going into the race, I knew if Further Ado ran his race, we were probably running for second. But if he stubbed his toe, maybe we could beat him. And obviously, he ran his Further Ado ran his race, got the trip he wanted, and won. But going into it, I really thought we had a very strong chance of running second in there. Off the allowance race we'd had before, we were third at Churchill on Derby Day. I thought, honestly, we were probably the best horse that day, not taking anything away from the winner. We just had a wide trip on both turns and was beaten less than that. So coming into the Matt win, like I said, I knew it was a tall order going against Further Ado, but we just thought that horse was doing that well and belonged in there, and I think he showed up and proved it.
And he's a homebred for Allied Racing Stable. Tell me about your relationship with them and what Our Moneyman's been like really from the start, because you've got to see him from day one.
Yeah, well, it's been a fun run. Mr. Money was a really good horse for us, won 4 grade stakes in a row. It's tough to make stallions, and Chester's continue to support him and help him along the way, and with limited opportunities done very well. So it's a little special for all of us. And you're right, Our Moneyman, we've known about him from the beginning. Chip Bork in South Louisiana broke him for us, and he was pretty excited about him early on. And when he came to us, we felt pretty strongly about him in the regional market down there in restricted races. And then he just looked like he was going to be a little better than that. And that's why we brought him to Kentucky, took a tough beat first time out, and then broke his maiden at Keeneland his next out. So he's been a lot of fun. And like I said, it's not a broken record, but he seemed to have gotten better along the way.
Bret, you've trained more than 3,900 winners in your career. You've won a couple of Breeders' Cup races, so you know what a good horse is supposed to look like. What signs did Our Moneyman show you early on that he might be better than ordinary, and what do those signs look like?
Well, for one thing, he's got a great mind. He's got a mind like his daddy. He's smart, and everything came easily for him. And you never seemed to get to the bottom of him. He had speed, but he also had some stamina, and like I said, we never got to the bottom of him. So he just kind of gave us some inclination along the way that he'd be a good horse.
And you've trained a couple of siblings along the way. How is he the same? How is he different? And do you have any little siblings to Our Moneyman maybe coming up?
Well, unfortunately, we sold the yearling, which would be 2 now. So we're going to have some more in the pipeline. We've got a nice wingling. I can't remember what it's by, but we've got a nice wingling. And we'll have more. That mare's been very good to us. And this horse here is very similar to him, but I think he's a little even smarter than the others.
Well, that definitely helps. And he's adapted to a number of tracks, surfaces, anything like that. Does anything worry you when it comes to Our Moneyman, or he pretty much handles anything thrown his way?
He seems to pretty much handle everything that's thrown his way. Like you said, we've run him on different surfaces. Obviously, it looks like we might have an off track today. He's handling off track at Keeneland. I know all off tracks are different. Obviously, I just assume it'd be fast for everyone and no excuses. But with that being said, I do think he'll handle the off going if that's what it comes up.
Bret, why has the Indiana Derby been so good to you?
I don't know. I've just happened to have the right horse at the right time. It's close proximity to Churchill Downs. It's an easy ship. You've got the options today. You could have gone Iowa Derby, Indiana Derby. We looked at both places. We really wanted to go to Indiana just because I felt like it's a closer ship. If we go there, perform well, and decide to move on to the next spot, it's going to be a little bit less wear and tear on the horse, give him a little chance to recover better just having a 2-hour trip over and back. But we've just been very fortunate to have Mr. Money in that race and Mr. Wireless. And hopefully Our Moneyman can come through for us today.
Axel Concepcion gets the leg up. He is the only jockey that Our Moneyman has ever known in his 8-race career. Why is he such a good fit?
Well, Axel rides a lot for me, and like you said, he's been on this horse a lot. He knows him inside and out, and he loves that horse, and they just click, And the good thing is he kind of knows what he likes, doesn't like. I don't think there's a lot to riding him. I think that horse will do just about anything, but Axel does know him very well.
Bret, I mentioned those 3,900 plus career winners. That means you're going to be closing in on a 4,000 win milestone before too long. How much attention do you pay to those kinds of things?
Actually, that number's been in my head for a while. You get older and you start thinking about things like that. I used to never think about those. It's always been a goal, I'll say that, but it's not something it's on your mind all the time because it's a lot. But now that I'm down inside 100, I do kind of pay attention to it at times. I'm not looking it up or anything. Somebody will ask me, I say, I don't know. I'm somewhere within 100 or something like that. But that's a huge milestone for me.
Well, you talk about goals and milestones. Are there any other races or any other milestones in particular that have been on your mind? And what's the key to keeping all of these horses running so sharp? Because you're all over the country, 3-4 different racetracks at a time. What's your secret?
Well, I think we have a consistent program every place. It's kind of a cookie cutter, same program every place. Obviously, staff and horsepower. At the end of the day, it comes down to it is horse racing and horsepower. We haven't had the horsepower lately, but we've had some horses that could win in certain places, and we're hoping that we're rebuilding this year with a lot of 2-year-olds, and hopefully we'll get some good ones out of that.
Bret, if everything stays on track and you continue the pattern that you've been on for the past, I don't even know how many years, but many, many years of saddling 120, 30, 40, 50 winners a year, you're going to get to that milestone next season. I'm going to book it right now. You have to agree to join me on the show right after you get to 4,000.
I'd love to be talking to you about that.
All right, pal. Yeah, we would love that, and let's go get another one later today with our money man.
That'd be great.
All right, best of luck, brother.
Thank you.
Bret Calhoun here on HRN. He's always so fun. He's been on many, many times over the years, and you look at his consistency. He is routinely now over 120 victories every single season. He already has 70 through the first half of this year. So it's conceivable, if he would just catch fire, that he could reach that 4,000 win milestone here, but more than likely it would come sometime in 2027.
Well, nothing is out of reach for a barn that can get that hot that quick and has that many horses.
Yep.
But you can really hear it in his voice, too. The consistency, the routine. They've really developed, winning habits. It's not just about getting lucky. It's about putting yourself in a position to win, and they've definitely done that.
Yeah, and his horse today, listen, he's as honest as they come, and I think that's all you can ask for, right? When you buy into a racehorse, when you start training a racehorse, if you get a horse that's honest and shows up every time you lead them over, they might not always win. Very, very few horses go undefeated for their entire career, but as long as they show up and run their race every time, that's all you can ask.
Well, and another testament to how good they are in the Bret Calhoun barn at doing what they're doing. This one, right from the start, it's not like somebody else laid the groundwork. It's not like they claimed it from anybody else. This one has been in their hands from day one, and Our Money Man has really justified their confidence. On the way up the class ladder, on the way up with distance, he's handled it all.
Never worse than third in 8 career starts, 3 wins, 4 seconds, and 1/3. If you're looking at a horse that's likely to defeat Our Money Man today, which horse are you looking toward?
Well, you did mention some of the track conditions maybe being into it, but I'm very curious about Brad Cox's second-time starter leading Change because, no matter how impressive a horse is breaking their maiden, it's a maiden win, and the fact that he's going to be in the Indiana Derby and start 2 obviously shows that there's more under the hood than just a 6-length maiden win. I don't think he's going to be 5-1, though, so he's the one that I'm most interested in watching, but I'll have to really watch the board closely to see if he's worth betting because something tells me he's not going to be.
Yeah, interesting horse. And again, that maiden win so impressive back on June 7th. We'll see if Leading Change can take the next step as he moves right into Great Estates Company off of that victory, 5-1 on the morning line. Angela, we just heard from Fred Taylor. We tried to stump him with the Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question, but he knew the answer. He just wouldn't give it out. So maybe it's not as impossible as I thought. It was to me anyway. And I'm sure some of our listeners are knocking that one out of the park, but you want to give it out again?
Let's do it. Okay. Here is the question. In what Ian Fleming novel does super spy James Bond travel to Saratoga Racecourse? No Googling. James Bond fans will be a fan of this one. But that is your Mojo Racing Trivia question for the week.
Speaking of Saratoga, we're going to welcome David Aragona to the program next. He's the morning line odds maker in New York. He'll tell you all about the Bowling Green and the Caress. That's next on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The National HBPA is continuously working to protect the health and welfare of horses by advocating and funding research to help reduce equine injuries, lobbying for a national testing lab to oversee and establish absolute uniform laboratory protocols, advocating for every track to undergo an annual independent surface assessment, passionately supporting off-the-track thoroughbred retirement facilities and adoption groups, and so much more. See additional HBPA initiatives at nationalhbpa.com.
Live racing is back at Ellis Park Racing and Gaming. The 25-day summer racing season runs through August 23rd with racing every Friday through Sunday throughout the summer with a daily first post of 11:55 a.m. Central, featuring many of racing's top trainers and jockeys and a record $4.125 million stakes schedule across 18 races, including the Summer Showcase weekend August 1st and 2nd and the Ellis Park Derby Day August 9th. You won't want to miss summer racing at Ellis Park. For more information, visit ellisparkowensborogaming.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Moving around the turn and approaching the head of the stretch with a quarter of a mile to go. Chenin Blanc has a short lead. Then with approval coming on, those two enter the stretch together now. With approval on the outside, draws right alongside of Chenin Blanc. Trader El Senor third on the move. Then comes Two Moccasins Cannoneer. Coming through the stretch with approval past the 8th pole. Has the lead by 3/4, now a full length. Then Chenin Blanc second and El Senor is third and coming on. Coming to the wire with approval in front.
With approval in front, that was the 1990 Bowling Green Handicap. It was run at Belmont at that time. Not only was he in front, he was in front in world record time, 2:10.20. The final running time for the mile and 3/8 for world approval back in 1990. Don't know if that record is in jeopardy later today at Saratoga, but it's a good renewal of the Bowling Green race. 10 of 11, 5:39 Eastern is the post. David Aragona is the man responsible for making the morning lines. And Old Crazy Bone is among the favorites for Mike Maker, but he is not the morning line favorite in that race. It goes to a European. Let's talk to David now. David, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Excited for these races today. They are really solid turf races.
Yeah, I mean, not the biggest field, but I mean, it's not like there's a clear standout in either of these graded stakes on the turf. So not the easiest job for handicappers to get through these races.
When you start to put a morning line together, what are some of the first things you do when you start looking at a card?
Ooh, well, it depends on the kind of race. I mean, you know, for the 2-year-old races, you're watching a lot of workouts, looking at pedigrees. For a stakes race like the Bowling Green, you know, I'm looking at the recent performances to see who's in form, who's proven themselves at the class level. And, you know, in a race like this, that's why I kind of have 3 horses that kind of stick out as the logical to 3 favorites, because you've got 3 that seem like they're in great form right now. And I made Fort George the slight favorite because in terms of those class and company lines, I mean, he seems like the one that's got the edge on this field, just coming out of some of the races he has overseas, facing some of the best turf horses in the world.
Is it trickier when you have a horse coming from, let's say, Meydan or Newmarket or Goodwood, whatever the case might be, when they're coming from a foreign land and running in those races and then coming here? Is it difficult to compare that form to the U.S. horses?
It can be, because a lot of times you're not too familiar with the competition over there. I mean, Fort George is kind of a rare case, or even American racing fans that don't follow European racing that closely will look at the PPs and recognize the name Rebels Romance, who is a Breeders' Cup Turf winner, and most will probably even recognize the name of Ombudsman, who is one of the top horses in Europe right now, one of the older horses, having been a winner at the Royal Ascot meet. So Fort George does have some more familiar company lines, but on the flip side of that, he's not going out for connections that American fans are necessarily familiar with. So, he's the kind of horse where if he had this form and you saw the name Charlie Appleby in the trainer's box and William Buick in the jockey's line, maybe he'd be an even shorter price than he will be later today.
What is your goal as a morning line odds maker when you sit down to do this for any race? What is your ultimate goal?
Well, the goal always is to try to get the odds as close to what they are when the horses break from the gate. My job is to try to give handicappers and bettors some idea of what the odds are going to be so that they can best formulate their wagers, opinions, especially multi-race wagers where you're kind of guessing at how the odds board is going to look 2 and 3 races down the line. Hopefully the morning line gives some clues as to who the favorites and long shots are going to be. And if I can, I'd love to nail every price right on the dot, but that's a tough thing to do at Saratoga.
Hi, David. Angela here, and I wanted to ask you about, Hi. Making lines overall, how much do you have to factor in some of the names that come into town? You mentioned some of the Europeans, but riders, trainers, how much of a factor does that play in setting a line in the morning, knowing that they're going to take some attention?
It's a big factor, especially at a place like Saratoga. Obviously, we know the trainers that do well there. Chad Brown dominating every year. Even some of the Kentucky strings that come in tend to take a lot of money. Like I've got this Will Walden horse, Minaret Station, in the Bowling Green at a relatively short price. I just know he's a barn that takes a lot of money wherever he runs horses, but especially on the jockey side. I mean, you see it any kind of race, run, maiden, claiming, stakes. There are certain jockeys that always get an extra look from the bettors. It feels like at this current Saratoga meet right now, Jose Ortiz is that jockey that's had a lot of success early on. I mean, he's had a lot of success throughout this entire 2026 calendar year. So it does seem like bettors are really kind of honing in on his horses as the ones that they bet down. And that's something that I monitor as the race cards go along and the weeks pass. And I've got to make adjustments. I probably was pricing Jose Ortiz's horses a little too high over these first 5 or 6 days of the meet. So it's something I'm going to start to build into my lines moving forward.
And what is the highlight of the Saratoga meet for you? What is the biggest challenge of the Saratoga meet for you? Because it's such a different beast from any other meet that any of us work. What is it for you?
Oof. I mean, the highlights are always, the big stakes races. I mean, I can't wait for this Whitney, the way that it's coming up this year with all the top older horses converging and potentially even one of the top 3 4-year-old fillies out there, Nitrogen. So that feels like it's going to be the highlight of the meet for me. I mean, I know people look forward to the 3-year-olds in the Travers. Maybe there's not quite as much excitement on this 3-year-old crop as there's been in some prior years. But, those are obviously the 2 big races. So, same answer that most people would give. In terms of challenges, I would say it's those 2-year-old races, but for me, it's a fun challenge. I mean, there's just a lot to consider and a lot to look into. I'm somebody that tries to sort of stay abreast of who's working well and horses that connections like. So, looking up all that information, it's a fun exercise when you get it right, but it does make a lot more work for those races. So that's probably the biggest challenge, but it's a challenge I'd like to take on.
That's a great point, David. A race where you have the majority of the field that has never started before. You don't have past performance lines to look at in order to set your morning line. You mentioned the workouts. Is that essentially all you can go by? Or, I mean, I guess pedigree plays into it too, right?
Yeah, pedigree plays into it. I mean, there are certain sires that are going to take money in first out situations. Like everybody, I mean, most handicappers these days know that Vekoma has great stats with a first-time starter. So you want to give an extra look to pedigrees like that. Some of the stuff you look through deeper on the dam side isn't going to necessarily move the tote board. But yeah, workouts are a big part of it. I mean, whether it's a 2-year-old sales workout, if the horse is debuting, close up to the OBS March or OBS April sale, and, a horse worked 9 and 9-4 or 9-3 at that sale. I mean, that's going to move the tote board a little bit, but more than that, it's the workouts at Saratoga leading into the race. I mean, these days there are clock reports available. Daily Racing Form puts out a clock report that's widely used. There are some workout videos that are available through First TV, and the sharp handicappers, they're aware of that stuff. So you do want to build, when I can, I have access to the information or access to the video, I try to build that information into my lines. I mean, there's a maiden race on the card later today. I believe it is the 6th race where the number 4, Secret Connection, she's the horse that I kind of pegged as the clear-cut morning line favorite in that race because I've seen a couple of workout videos, and in both of the videos I watched, she looked much the best with the company that she was keeping. So, and Jeremiah Engelhardt, a trainer that takes money first time out, especially at Saratoga. So I look for situations like that where I can get some insight into whether a horse is doing well prior to its debut.
And this puts handicappers already one step ahead with the work that you've done. So we want to hear a little bit more about what you think about the graded stakes today. Let's start with the Caress. What do you make of the 5th?
Yeah, this race is going to lose one major player because the connections of the number 3 Italian Soiree announced earlier this week that she's not doing 100%, so she's going to come out of this race. So it's going to be at most a field of 5 in here. I think the lack of speed in this race is kind of the main conversation point because you really just have, looks like 2 horses that want to go forward in the number 4 Sunna and the number 6 In Our Time. In Our Time's a classier individual. She's been competitive against Graded Stakes Company for much of the past 2 seasons. And they've kind of gone back and forth between distances for her. I do like her sprinting. I wish she had run a little better last time in the Intercontinental, but I do think she's posted well here outside of the main pace rival. But I think Sunna is a major threat to wire this field. I mean, she's undefeated on the grass. It seems like she's really figured things out since they've made this switch. And she hasn't beaten fields that are quite as tough as the one that she's meeting here. But given that she's only got 4 rivals, it's not the biggest step up in class for her. And Joel Rosario rides a speed horse very well. So I had trouble separating those two, but I'm not saying too much that's clever there. I think they're going to be the 2 favorites.
Post time for the Caress 2:47 Eastern as race number 5 on that 11 race card at Saratoga. Today we are visiting with morning line odds maker David Aragona, who also works with the Daily Racing Form. He does a great job throughout the year. You've heard him on this program many, many times. David, how about that 10th race? We started talking about it as I introduced you, the Bowling Green. Who's your top pick in there? I know who you made the morning line favorite, but who's your top pick?
I did pick Old Crazy Bone. This was a tough morning line because I could have sorted these 3 favorites in any order. I mean, I try to not make them all the same price and, delineate somebody as the favorite. I won't be surprised if it gets shaken up a little bit. I've seen a lot of people picking Old Crazy Bone, so maybe he goes favorite in here. We'll see about that. I just thought that he was going to get the right kind of trip because Flavien Prat typically is aggressive in these situations. It doesn't feel like there's a ton of speed signed on, and he's got the inside post, so I imagine he'd pop out of there and try to slow down the pace a little bit. His main pace rival might actually be that European shipper Fort George, who has raced somewhat forwardly in his races over in Dubai this winter. But Old Crazy Bone just felt like he got a good prep in last time going shorter, and he's a horse that's proven he can get these longer distances.
Well, and Turf really is on showcase today in the Saratoga card. You got 6 of them today. We talked about the Caress. We talked about the Bowling Green. Is there any other race today that catches your eye?
Yeah, I'm particularly interested in a couple of divisions of a non-winners of 2 other than optional claiming allowance race. One of those is race 4, and I believe the other one is race 7 on this card. Similar fields signed on. I think that both are interesting races to bet on. In that 4th race, I like the number 2 Sherlock's Jewel, who does well at the mile distance, especially in races where there's some pace, and it feels like that could be the situation here. And he got a wide trip last time at Monmouth, so I think he's going to run better. I even think the number 6 Alan Turing is an interesting horse, switching surfaces at a price in there. And then the other division, the 7th race, I'm intrigued by the number 1 Starship Titan coming back off a layoff. He ran a big race to close out his 4-year-old season at Aqueduct last year, and that's a performance that has really been validated by some good runbacks out of there, including Pass the Hat, who has since won a graded stakes out of that race. And these are connections that don't typically take that much money, especially coming back off layoffs. So I thought Starship Titan was an intriguing horse that could maybe fly under the radar again.
David, I was going to bring this up in the next segment with Angela and myself, but since you are joining me, we lost one of your DRF colleagues this past week, last Saturday, Mary Rampolini, passing away at the age of 53. I did not know Mary, but I have read so many wonderful things about her on social media and on various web postings that I thought were just tremendous. So if you don't mind, would you care to share a thought or two about that loss?
It's heartbreaking, for everybody at the Daily Racing Form and really everybody in the racing industry or fans of the sport, because she was just the best kind of reporter. She was a hard worker. She's somebody who had relationships with the barns and stables, and I know everybody that knew her well is just heartbroken over this development. I had personally never met Mary Rampolini in person. I've corresponded with her over emails, and she could not be more pleasant. I think everyone said that about her. She just had such a bright, sunny disposition, and she was somebody that people loved talking to. So it's very sad, and it's a huge loss for the racing form. She had been there for, I think it was 28 years. As somebody who grew up as a fan of the sport, I remember reading her columns since I was, a young teenager getting into the sport. And she's just been a voice at the racing form and a voice in this industry for so long. And it was sudden, it was unexpected, and it's a huge loss for the industry.
I met her down at Oaklawn Park in 2015. Following the saga of American Pharoah would not have been the same if it was not told by Mary Rampolini. And she had something kind to say about everybody. You could always start a conversation with her about just about anything. And it is a great loss because she did provide such a great perspective on the sport, made you want to follow the horses that she talked about. And her passion just came through so eloquently. It is a big loss, like you said, but great to get your reflections on her. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and if anybody hasn't seen it yet, her brother wrote a really lovely tribute to her and her work and her life that's available on the Daily Racing Form YouTube and Daily Racing Form website. So I recommend people check that out.
That's fantastic. David, appreciate the visit here this morning, my friend. Good luck with those races this afternoon, and I'm sure you and I will catch up again soon.
Sounds good. Good luck to everybody out there.
All right, David Aragona here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Yeah, as I mentioned, Angela, I never had the opportunity to correspond with Mary. I did not know her, but I think maybe one of the greatest compliments I could pay to her posthumously here is to from all of the things that I've read about her and how wonderful a person she was. And I knew of her work, of course, but as a person, how wonderful she was. I wish I did have the opportunity to get to know her over the years.
No, I think that it's very fitting that every picture that you see of Mary, she is smiling, because when you did come across her, she was happy to be at the track, happy to tell the stories, and not everybody did that with the same gusto that she did. So it is a great loss. May she rest peacefully. And we can still read all of her beautiful work because the stories don't get any more dim with time. And I think that it'll be hard to find another Mary Rampolini. We probably won't, but we have to honor her memory, and it's very sad.
Yeah, our thoughts and prayers with her family, of course. Eric Halstrom is coming up in the next segment. We're going to turn our attention back to Horseshoe Indianapolis, where it is Indiana Derby Day. The track conditions, you heard Bret Calhoun earlier talking about the wet conditions, currently sloppy and good with the turf condition there. So keep that in mind as you're doing your handicapping, and Eric will have more on that coming up in the next segment. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Colonial Downs summer racing season is here with a new schedule featuring live racing every Thursday through Sunday. Post time 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Back is our popular 12% takeout pick 5 offered twice daily, and play the all-new $3 late pick 3 with a 15% takeout. Join us for our biggest days of the season, Saturday, August 1st at noon for the Colonial Downs Festival of Racing, featuring 8 stakes races, including the Grade 1 Arlington Million, and then closing day, Labor Day, Monday, September 7th, with the Grade 3 Old Dominion Derby. Colonial Downs, the next era of racing.
Scott Mallory's Fasig-Tipton July consignment offers serious sire power. Hip 11 is by Red Hot Sire of Vacoma, the sire of multiple greatest stakes horses. Hip 54 by Yopon, the sire of stakes-winning fillies Goodall and Veneta. Hip 76 by millionaire Grade 1 winning first crop sire Dr. Shivel, who won greatest stakes at 2, 3, and 4. And Hip 95, a colt by Grade 1 place Loggins with a Blaine Cross, already with a half sibling who's earned $190,000. Don't miss the Scott Mallory consignment in Barn 8 at Fasig-Tipton July.
Monmouth Park is back with racing every weekend now to September 13th, plus Memorial Day and Labor Day Monday. Haskell Preview Day is June 13th, followed by Haskell Day on July 18th. Exciting new wagers include a $3 all-turf pick 3, $3 late pick 3, and a $5 late double, all with player-friendly 15% takeout. Monmouth also offers the country's premier handicapping contest schedule, fixed odds wagering, and a brand new sportsbook. Go to monmouthpark.com for more information.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
As they come toward the top of the stretch, Big Truz is right there with Brother Kenny on the foot outside. Publisher is next, then Instant Replay. Master Controller is last. They're homeward bound 3/4 in 1 minute 9.33 seconds. Tip Top Thomas a furlong away with Johnny Velasquez. Tip Top Thomas tackled by Cold Battle. And these two fight hard past the 16th. And Publisher now angles out. Brother Kenny on the outside. Tip Top Thomas. Tip Top Thomas has won the Indiana Derby. Repels Cold Battle through the stretch. Brother Kenny, Publisher, and Instant Replay in track record time of 1:41.15 seconds.
It's going to be tough to top that one in this year's Indiana Derby. We'll see if it can happen. Tip Top Thomas getting the victory last year. John Dooley had the call. Earlier, you heard from Bret Calhoun, who is getting ready to send out the morning line favorite in this afternoon's Indiana Derby. Mile and a 16th on the main track. It is race 12 of 13 with a post time of 6:40 Eastern, 3:40 for all of our friends tuning in on the West Coast here this morning. Eric Halstrom is the Vice President and General Manager at Horseshoe Indy, and he joins us now here on HRRN. Eric, good morning.
Hey, morning. This feels like talking to family here. I've got with Mike and Ange. This is great.
Hi, Eric. Great to have you on.
Good. Happy belated birthday. For what it's worth, Mike, I basically saw Ange grow up. So I've been around. We've been together for big part of our lives, and proud to see how well she's doing. Everything at Canterbury now.
Oh, thank you very much, and thank you for the birthday wish.
Yeah, the two of you worked together at Canterbury for a very long time, right?
We did. We've stayed friends, and that's best part about this industry. I think is once you meet a lot of people, you get to work with them, and they never really leave your life. Sometimes you get a little distance between you, but you're always going to be friends. And anyway, that's kind of where we sit today. As I look out the window and see rain coming down.
Yeah, we talked to Bret Calhoun a short time ago, and he mentioned the conditions and the likely wet track for the Indiana Derby. And I was just reading online, we retweeted it actually on our HRN feed. Sloppy and good are the conditions currently. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So a couple things to make good note of, though. We did not train this morning. We thought this rain was going to come earlier. And somewhere about 4 a.m., track man Tony Martinez and I made the decision not to train and keep it just let it sit and take whatever rain that was going to come. Ironically, it didn't rain at all. It was raining hours time, and but we were supposed to train till 9 a.m. and literally at 9:01 it came down like a monsoon. So the turf course actually needed some water. That's why it's only gone from firm to good. I would have actually said it's probably it was on the more firm side of firm yesterday. We hadn't had rain for quite some time, and it was needing something. So it'll suck this up. It's just a matter now of how much comes between as we talk now and mid card or whatever it is. But right now we don't have any plans on taking these races off the turf, and we'll just hope that whatever comes now is just the light stuff, and that's really what's happening now after that deluge of a hurricane that we had come through Shelbyville about a half hour ago.
You seem to get hit with rain a little bit down there in Indy, but you can't plan for that, but you can plan for a 13-race card. So tell me what's in store. What comes along with the Indiana Derby card? Because I know you've got more than just the races in store.
Yeah, we do. We got a great day. And yesterday, what we've started to kind of build a bigger following here on track. After COVID, we went to the Monday to Thursday lineup, and frankly, that's not a great way to build on-track attendance and handle. That was not what the plan was. But our weekends have been very good, and yesterday we had a great crowd on track. We've got NHC contest where 3 seats given away yesterday, 4 today, and we had almost 200 entries on the Friday contest. I expect even more today.
Wow.
It'll be a great day on track here, and the racing is really good. One of the good parts about this, last year we had 6 turf races on this day. We just beat up that turf course, and today I say only 4. But the good news is those stakes are very unlikely to come off, and there's really only 2 undercard races that are on the turf that would be in question later. So we're in good shape. I'm looking at the racetrack, and it looks great. I'm really glad we didn't train this morning and dig it up.
Eric, we'll talk more about the Indiana Oaks and Indiana Derby in a moment, but what are some of the other top storylines that you and the team at Horseshoe Indy have your eyes on with this card this afternoon?
Well, I can tell you, Brad has a string here with us, and it sends a lot of good horses our way. And for the Oaks and the Derby, he's got a couple horses in the Oaks, and then obviously the leading change in the Derby. I think that's where you start after the scratch of Desert Gate. In the Oaks, those 2 fillies are really good. Prom Queen's a Grade 2 winner. We're glad to have her here today. But I wouldn't forget the fact that this horse that this Nala who has been over our track. She's a nice horse, and she proved in South Florida that she can run against good horses. So we'll see what happens there. The team has done just a great job, and we've fought some weather this year that, frankly, it's bound to turn. It'll definitely turn. And actually, if you listen to the weatherman, it sounds like starting tomorrow it's going to be beautiful. So that doesn't do a whole lot for us today, but we're ready to get after whatever is out there for us today, and it'll be a great show.
Well, Eric, I know you're always willing to try something new or something different to get some eyes on your track. Is that what led to putting the Indiana Derby this weekend? I know it wasn't a new change or anything like that, but the timing seems to work out so well with it being this weekend.
I think, sometimes you outthink yourselves, and this is one where we've kind of said, that first Saturday in July is going to be our day, and every year the handle has grown, and that's what we're here for. So, we felt rewarded by being on that day. When it was July 4th, it became a hot topic around here. And one of the main issues we had was not being able to staff it properly on July 4th. And so moving to the week after really was a function of just saying, let's see what happens this year. And, I guess the cool part about this, Ange, is like we had never sold out the clubhouse on the first Saturday in July. It's always right at the end, and maybe walk-ins fill you up and whatever. Yeah. We actually have not only sold out the clubhouse today, but we have a waiting list of 240 people. Ooh. And I think call me some genius corporate exec hump. I mean, it took me you don't make a change until you realize you're wrong. And this is one where if that's what it means, there's families traveling over the holiday, or they just have other things to do. It looks like this weekend that we're sitting on right now is going to be really good for us locally. So, and it didn't seem to hurt on the simulcast side, because we're going to be on Fox Sports with, intermixed with Saratoga today. And, nobody didn't enter today because it's too close to a race coming up, late in the month or anything like that. So, unless something goes drastically wrong, I think we've maybe found the right spot, and probably not hovering right around the 4th of July.
Eric, the Indiana Oaks is race 11 of 12, 11 of 13. The 12th race is going to be the Indiana Derby. When you look at that, the 6-horse field, the 6 horses that were entered, and this speaks to the quality and the timing of these races, the trainers are Bob Baffert, Brad Cox, Brian Lynch, Ken McPeak, and Bill Mott. Those are the trainers of the 6 horses in the Indiana Oaks. You're doing something right.
Yeah, we're, one of the things that I think our team has done right is we've got great racing surfaces, and these people from Kentucky have become comfortable with us here. Monday to Thursday, a lot of these guys are sending horses up as well. Not their main string and whatnot, but they're coming up here, and the horses are coming back cooled out and just fine. And I think they all feel good about what we've got going. And then obviously when you get into the fillies, that graded stake win is really, really important. And a couple $100,000 is nothing to sneeze at. It's more than those allowance races at Churchill at this point. So that's about the only time we're beating Kentucky in purses. But I think, part of the whole thing is being an hour and a half away from Louisville and a couple hours from Keeneland. That is probably one of the best things that we've got going for us. And just making sure they're treated right and the racetrack's ready for them when they come, it seemed to really work. It's been very successful getting a lot of these, high-level Hall of Famers, to come our way.
I'm glad you mentioned that you are creating comfort with Kentucky horsemen. So what's your next step in further advancing Horseshoe? What do you got? What are some of the ideas that you're coming up with for the future?
Well, one of the things we talked about when we came out of COVID and said, let's go Monday to Thursday, and, the handle immediately jumped and things have gone the right way. Sometimes it's hard when things are going the right way to really make decisions to change things. But one of the things we said way back when was when we get enough quality and enough participation from high level, trainers and whatnot like this, then we'll jump back to a weekend day at some point. And it's just not set in stone by any means, but we're starting to talk about running on Saturdays next week because I think we've gotten there. We've run several Saturdays mixed in with the meet, the Derby Day, Belmont, July 4th, different ones. And, quite frankly, we're handling in the high 2 millions, which is more than we're doing on Mondays and, something in the neighborhood of a Tuesday or Wednesday. So we may have gotten to the point now where 6 years later, or whatever it is, we may have graduated to the weekend. And I think I say that with, a lot of respect. We didn't want to battle the big boys on some of these Saturdays because we didn't think we could compete. And now it's not that you're better than them, but you can move your way around a race card and stay out of their way. And there's just so many more people playing on Saturday than there is on Mondays that there's a possibility we'll give that a try next year.
Eric, before I let you go, racetrack executives always love when I put them on the spot and ask them for a pick in their big races. So who do you like to win the Indiana Oaks and the Indiana Derby?
Well, so in the Oaks, I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to Brad's horse, but the lesser known one. I saw Nala win here. And my first thought, and she was 1-5 that day. I'm not sure exactly what she beat, but she did it like a real horse, where I watched and went, this is a nice filly. And at the time I was thinking, well, that's like 6 weeks from the Indiana Oaks. And then I kind of forgot about it. When I saw her get entered, I thought, they were thinking the same thing as me. And they know way more than I do, but I thought she looks like a nice filly, maybe going the right way. On the Derby side, I really think Bret's horse has got the experience to, really be tough to handle down the lane here. I'm told that, that Brad and Ricky and those guys just love leading change and really had high hopes for him, sometime last year as a 2-year-old, and got a little bit off the rails with him. But if he wins by a pole, I don't think I'd be shocked, but he's going to have to shake that horse down the lane of Bret's, and that's who I'd go that way with. But it feels like one of those horses you just know is going to run good. You don't have to worry about whether he will or won't.
Well, I know you got a big day ahead of you, Eric, so we'll let you go. But I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for all the kind words. And say hi to Amber, Oscar, Brian, everybody down there. And best of luck on a big Indiana Derby day. I hope it's a big success for you.
Thanks to you both. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Eric. Eric Halstrom here on HRN really does a fantastic job there, and that is a really good card. It really stinks, though, that they have to deal with the weather conditions. And I know, as you said, Angela, you can't plan for it, you can't control it. But a day like that, you'd love it to be sunny and 75.
I know it. When your big day comes up, that's the piece you don't even think about. Just you assume that the sun is going to be shining in the background and Mother Nature's going to know that it's a big day at your track. But Indiana, they do battle that quite frequently, but they always seem to land on their feet. So I hope that today things clear up.
When we come back, we'll take a look at a date or two in racing history, and we will tell you what's coming up in Hour 3. It's a loaded third hour of the show. Stay with us. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Ms. Fernandez, what are those tiny things?
Those are what we call amoebas. You can only see them through a microscope.
Wow.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, there's a funding crisis in public schools. Millions of kids go to schools that don't have funding for books, computers, and so much more just because of where they live. You can help change that. Donors Choose is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. You choose which supplies to support. You could provide first graders with pencils and paper, or other students with their first chapter books, help a music class get a guitar.
You could even supply a classroom like mine with a science project. But what you're really giving is the moment that sparks a brighter tomorrow.
To learn more, please visit DonorsChoose.org. That's DonorsChoose.org. Choose students. Shape the future.
I take care of the kids, and I take care of my dad. I take care of things at work. The groceries, the cleanups, the meltdowns, the doctor's visits, the family events, mealtimes, bedtimes. I take care of all the things everyone else needs. But I haven't made time to take care of what I need.
Family caregivers are often overloaded. It can feel overwhelming and exhausting. It's no surprise that millions of caregivers experience symptoms of anxiety and depression every year. But help is available, because there may only be one you, but you don't have to do it alone. Head to mentalhealthcareworks.org. That's mentalhealthcareworks.org to learn how to get the support you deserve, because mental health care works when you make the call. If you're experiencing a mental health crisis or thoughts of suicide, dial 988. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Hi, human. I'm a micro monster swimming around in your plastic water bottle. But I can't wait to swim in your bloodstream soon.
Microplastics are micro monsters.
Drink me. Wait, what are you doing?
But you can fight back by using glass or metal reusable water bottles.
No!
Don't let microplastic micro monsters invade your body. Find more ways to fight back at stopmicromonsters.org.
Thursday evenings, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, is the Brisnet.com call-in show. It's your chance to call in and let the Horse Racing Radio Nation know what's on your mind. Call us at 888-966-HRRN. That's 888-966-4776. And discuss the topics you choose in the world of thoroughbred racing. The Brisnet.com call-in show. Sirius 162, XM 207, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, Angela Hermann, the Countess of Canterbury. Winding down hour number 2, looking ahead to hour 3, which comes your way shortly. It begins with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Angela, we welcome Kevin Kilroy with 3 races to watch and wager on at TwinSpires.
And he always gives us something to chew on. It's not just, taking the obvious. He's always looking to dig a little bit deeper and find us something below the surface. So looking forward to talking to him.
Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20. Dale and Tim at 10:30 with I Ask, They Answer. And that segment also includes our draft for the Showdown 5 competition, in which Angela is participating this year, trying to dethrone Dale Romans, who has won the competition 3 consecutive seasons. Can we do it, Angela?
It's not going to be easy. He gets to maybe ask some of these trainers about some of their horses. He gets some advice that we might not get, but we're still going to give it our best shot. And I'm going to try to come up with some horses that might not be in the handicap division. We'll see what our teams look like, but the goal is strictly to dethrone Dale.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick update on our poll question for you here this morning. If Horse of the Year was to be given out today, who is your pick, Magnitude or Golden Tempo? Magnitude starting to edge away. 59% of HRRN Nation saying it is Magnitude. You can continue to vote on our social media pages on X and on Facebook. Sally Ellen at Country Life Farm in Maryland says that she has to go with Magnitude as he faced a variety of older horses and bested Derby and Breeders' Cup winners. And Paul, who is listening in California, says Magnitude broke through the gate, and everybody thought he could never win the race. Not only did he win, nobody got close to him. Golden Tempo will not ever beat Magnitude. So he's a Magnitude guy for sure.
Well, I guess so. Okay, Golden Tempo will never beat Magnitude.
Never.
I guess not. Okay, we have a Magnitude fan over there. It sounds like we've had some Golden Tempo fans along the way, too. They're going to eventually spell it out, but for now it is fun to speculate and maybe see where these two are in the minds of not just us, but the handicappers around the country.
A couple quick dates in racing history to throw out there for our listeners before we do get to our number 3. Nothing pertaining to today necessarily, but tomorrow, July 12th, 1971. That is the day that Bold Ruler, the sire of 82 stakes winners, including the great Secretariat, died at Claiborne Farm.
Oh, my. Well, that's not one that we necessarily, I guess, want to remember, but still a very important mare in history.
Yeah. One of the greatest. How about this one? July 13th, Monday. Jockey Kent DeSormo rode his first winner, a 3-year-old filly named Miss Tavern, in the 5th race at Evangeline Downs, July 13th, 1986.
He'll always mean something to me. I mean, granted, that date and that year pretty close to something personal for me, but he rode real quiet, and if he never rode another racehorse again, I would still be a Kent DeSormo fan.
Yeah, July 13th, 1996. That's when Cigar tied Citation's record of 16 consecutive victories, winning the Citation Challenge at Arlington International. Those are dates in racing history. We've got more coming your way. Hour 3 kicking off next. Mike Penna, Angela Hermann, stay with us. Right after this 10-second pause for station identification, this is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
She Dares the Devil comes off the turn, leading by 2.5 lengths. Impeccable Styles up in the second. Miss T2 is fully extended, and then it's Byroness on the grandstand side in 4th. 1 furlong to go. She Dares the Devil has a lead by 2 lengths over Impeccable Style. Outside of Byroness as they come down to the finish. It's She Dares the Devil in the Indiana Oaks.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Looking at Lucky, coming at him and coming on. To the inside, St. Maximus Gatto, they've less than a furlong to go. And looking at Lucky has power to the lead. Looking at Lucky by 2. To the inside, racing in second, the sky is no limit. And St. Maximus Gatto, it's looking at Lucky to win the 16th running of the Indiana Derby.
It is Channel Cat. Here's Ya Primo driving through on the inside. Channel Makers in the middle. Arklow is in behind them. Olympico's on the far outside. It's Channel Cat. Ya Primo. Channel Maker on the outside. Arklow, late speed from Zulu Alpha. They're coming down to the line. And Channel Cat just kept on going. Channel Cat won it from Ya Primo. And then came Arklow and Channel Maker.
Now here's Mike Penna and Angela Hermann.
Welcome back. Hour 3 of the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Baron Countess ready to go for the third hour of the show, which begins momentarily with our TwinSpires triple play. Kevin Kilroy will give you 3 races to watch and wager on with TwinSpires this afternoon. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History, straight ahead at 10:20. That's a story about a filly named Handy Mandy. You'll hear more about that coming up momentarily. And I Ask, They Answer with Dale and Tim coming your way at 10:30. And that segment includes our Showdown 5 competition draft. It is all coming up. You'll hear who each of us select on our 5-horse teams coming up later in the show. So stay tuned for that. Lots of things to get to. Angela, it has been a busy morning and looking forward to this third hour.
It seems like no matter what Saturday we come across, there's a ton to talk about and go over. So excited to get the third one underway.
And you'll be participating in that draft with Dale, Tim, and myself later. So we'll have 4 teams, and looking forward to seeing if you can topple the boys later today.
Well, I have heard that I have quite the task on my hands to try to topple you guys. I mean, it'll be a win if Dale just doesn't go first. Yeah, as long as we don't get him to pick first, I think that'll be a victory in itself. But I got a roster ready. I got a whole list ready to draft. So let's rock.
All right, and let's rock with Kevin Kilroy in this week's TwinSpires Triple Play. What's up, brother?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're great.
Great.
Yeah, it's a
good segment.
Beautiful day.
See you, pal. Thanks.
Right? Easy.
Thanks for asking.
Get my check in the mail, right?
Man, fired up for these 3 races that you're going to talk about today. You've chosen 3 races, all from Colonial Downs, 6, 7, and 9. Why those 3?
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got 4 stakes on the card here today, and always love the stakes action, always love Colonial Downs, turf racing, etc. This Maryland / Virginia bred program is sensational, and there's some really talented runners in here. So I'm excited about a couple value possibilities in here. It's the beginning of this late pick 5, which of course has that 12% takeout. You got to love that 12% takeout at Colonial Downs for the pick 5. And, I thought race 8 in terms of these 4 was the one that might be a little bit hard to give people a good, valuable opinion on in that Glen Petty. So I picked the 3 that I think have got a little bit more meat on the bone.
All right, let's start with race 6. It's the 7-furlong Miss Disco Stakes with a purse of $125,000. It is for the 3-year-old fillies. Who wins this one?
Yeah, this is fun. We've got these 2 that have been knocking heads quite a few times. Superstitious on the rail, and then, of course, Just Filtered, the number 4 in here. I mean, Just Filtered has gotten the best of Superstitious in each of their battles when they face each other. But those were 2-year-old battles, and I think the market might lean towards that Mike Penna training, number 4, Just Filtered. We might get 2-1, 5-2, which would be very fair on Superstitious, trained by Rob Bales. I'm not sure if your listeners know Rob Bales, but he's a fantastic horseman. He's a fantastic horseman deep in his career. He just had his best year of his career. I think he's 38 years in last year. And, he's a neat story. His dad was actually the first person to ever get up on Secretariat. Mert.
No way.
Bales. Yeah. So there's stuff there. I know you like all these type of trainers. So I'm mentioning Rob to you, Mike, because I think he's somebody that you definitely connect with. But Superstitious, she was, I think, just a little bit slighter than Just Filtered, who was very precocious physically as a 2-year-old. But I think Superstitious has grown into herself. I think she's ready to turn the tables on her. She just ran a field best figure on Thoroughgraph. She's got good spacing since that win at Laurel Park on May 30th, and I think she fits a really nice stalking trip in here. So Superstitious for me, hoping to get 2-1, 5-2 to get things going as a single in that pick 5.
Well, Superstitious from the rail, 8-5 on the morning line. You think we get pretty close to that price?
I think so, because we've got Paco up on a horse, and Paco takes a ton of money. He's up on the 6, Doc's Miracle. Just Filtered, as I said, she continues to, or has in the past, beat her up in their races. But it just doesn't seem like she's moved forward. I think she was very precocious as a 2-year-old. So Just Filtered, I think, will take a lot of money and be the favorite in this race. And, I think we get a little bit second choice value on Superstitious.
You mentioned the Virginia and Maryland bred and how it makes these races competitive by having both of them eligible for these races. And talking about some of their races last year, too, I guess, what do you look for specifically in some of these regional sort of races to see how they could turn out different? Because they do kind of take turns beating each other, but what do you look for when you're handicapping them?
Yeah, that's a good point. They do. I mean, I see that in Louisiana as well, where they start taking turns. Nothing necessarily specifically. I mean, with this being a 3-year-old race, just trying to think through, who's the real 3-year-old now. They face each other as 2-year-olds for the most part. And, maybe it's more of a 3-year-old situation for this one, but it might be different for the others in terms of versus Maryland, Virginia-bred sired, restrictions.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we're going to go with number 1, Superstitious, 8-5 on the morning line in race number 6 at Colonial. The second race you have chosen for this week's TwinSpires Triple Play is race 7. That is the Star Danaskra Stakes, also 7 furlongs on the main track.
Yeah, it's where we're going to get a price. I do think that saving money, likely not 15-1. That'd be amazing if we got 15-1, because I do think that the Catman's Yaupon Colt is going to be live in this race. But saving money, you can look at the company lines. He's been facing very, very good open company in terms of Englishman at Fairgrounds on March 19th. It might be one of those races where you say to yourself, well, somebody had to be second. Saving money came up and got second to Englishman. But, Storm Forge came out of that race. It got the win. Silver Talisman, a good one for Brendan Walsh. It was a good group going 6. The next race, May 2nd, he really couldn't get into it on the Kentucky Derby undercard and lost to Gilded Bandit. Gilded Bandit, ran in a stake next outside at Small Town. So really good company in that race as well. Blinkers on. I've been wondering where we were going to see Saving Money next because he was working with Only Phil. Only Phil, of course, 2 Phils. Little brother, 2 Phil's second in the Kentucky Derby, if you remember him. And I could just see Saving Money working very well on the outside of Only Phil, who's a talented colt in himself. And here we are. Of course, Virginia bred, it makes sense that Wayne sends him out here, talking to the Catman ahead of this race, hanging out the barn this week. He just thinks the blinkers on is going to get him into the race a little bit more, and that he fits really good against this group. So I think Saving Money is the price play in here. Tartable, a weak favorite if he does go off his favorite there on the outside. But Paco, Rohan Crichton, that type of connections, they get bet.
I'm glad you brought up 2 Phils, by the way. Big fan up here, winner of the Shakopee Juvenile as well. But I want to ask you about 7 furlongs, too, because these races are both 7. It can be a tricky distance, and you don't always have as much form to them. How do you approach that? Like, what do you think makes a good 7 furlong horse or a price that you might want to support, like a Saving Money? Do you think he'll like that distance?
Yeah. I look at the pedigree, trying to think if it makes sense that more distance could work. You can see they've tried him at 7.5 for his first 2 starts of his career. And then size. I like to look to size as well and just seeing Saving Money in the flesh. He's a big enough guy to get it done. His half-sister, Tufani, she was very, very nice. Mike Stidham trainee. Got the stakes wins, these restricted stake wins at Colonial Downs for Stidham going 2 turns on the turf. So I see it there for sure. I also looked at the finish of the race, in terms of do they come late and do they have a strong finish. So I think Saving Money's shown that to me for sure.
And big price, 15-1 on the morning line for the Catman Wayne Catalano. Jareth Loveberry will be in the irons aboard Saving Money in race number 7. Kevin, how about race number 9? That's the final leg that you liked for the triple play. It's the Punchline Stakes with a purse of $125K. This one on the turf at 5.5 furlongs.
Yeah, so we've got Determined Kingdom in here, even money favorite. He's won the Punchline 3 times, and he's kind of an anomaly. I mean, he was previously with Phil Schoenthal when he got those wins, and he's been with Trombetta. Larry Johnson, before he passed, but the estate now owns him. They bought this one at a Keeneland sale, and he just didn't win. He hasn't won for Trombetta, which is not what usually happens. Trombetta does great work, obviously, up and down the board with wherever he's getting his horses from, and he just won for the first time for Trombetta at Saratoga, and I think it was a weak group. Of course, it was at Saratoga, open company, etc., but he just sort of grounded out that win. And I think we can take him on. Determined Kingdom will take a ton of cash in here, and we're just going to go to the same barn, but to the Speedster in here, crossing the channel. I mean, this 3-year-old, I think he's got a really nice setup in here where he's the true speed in the race, cutting back to 5.5. He's moving to the turf for the first time, but he's a half to Naval Empire, who's got good stakes for him, as well as Sail the Seven Seas. And he's a little guy, and I like to look for that sometimes in terms of, all right, will it make sense in terms of turf, in terms of his build, his frame. I think he's got a light frame. I think he'll just fly over the turf with a loose lead in here. So I'm going to go to the other Trombetta. in this race. Now, he is cross-entered. We haven't seen the scratches yet to see if he's going to be in here this one today. If he does scratch out to run on Monday with us, Saxon is the one for me. Brittany Russell's third start in the form cycle. He had a tough trip there June 19th. He was loaded, tried to get out, was pinned in on the rail, tried to squeeze through a tight spot, and then just kind of gave up and just was a little bit flat after that. But I think that, Russell, third start in the form cycle, I think she's like 31% or something like that in her career. It's always a good angle, second time on the turf in a row, and Saxon definitely has a look to work out a great rail trip in here.
All right, so number 6, crossing the line, the top pick for Kevin in race number 9 at Colonial, 5-1 on the morning line. Kevin, let's recap the top 3 before I let you go. Race 6 at Colonial, you'll take number 1, Superstitious, 8-5 morning line. Race 7, you'll come back with number 7, Saving Money. This is the big price, 15-1 on the morning line. And then in race number 9, you'll take number 6, Crossing the Channel, at odds of 5-1 morning line. What's happening at TwinSpires this weekend, brother?
Yeah, tons of stuff. You've got a new thing going on, the late pick 5 insurance. You can find it with, if you're betting Horseshoe Indy on this Indiana Derby day, and it's very cool opportunity. If you get 4 out of 5, you get up to $50 back of your late pick 5 wagers. So when you get to that spot, you're 4 out of 5. They could have your back there. They're doing it at Colonial Downs on Fridays. And then Saratoga, if you're looking up there, $25 back, $10 back, $50 back, depending on your level of betting. But if your horse runs second or third, so make sure and get involved with that insurance, whether it's in the pick 5 or your win bets through TwinSpires.
There you got it. Kevin Kilroy, TwinSpires Triple Play. Make sure you're betting all the races you're going to play this weekend and every weekend with TwinSpires. Good luck this weekend, man. Appreciate the time.
Angela, Mike, thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
You got it. Yeah, TwinSpires Triple Play. That comes your way every single Saturday at this time here on the Equine Forum.
And every Saturday, we also bring you the Mojo Racing Trivia question. And this week's goes like this. In what Ian Fleming novel does super spy James Bond travel to Saratoga Racetrack? No Googling the answer. That'll be coming up soon.
Yeah, 10:55 Eastern. The final segment of the show is when we will reveal the answer to our Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question. Up next, though, it's Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History, and still to come, Dale Tim with I Ask, They Answer. That's 10:30 Eastern. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
You're listening to HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Join us for Indiana Derby Day, Saturday, July 11th at Horseshoe Indianapolis. More than $1 million in purses leading up to the state's richest horse race. Plus, register to win a $3,000 Derby mega bet, play in the $2,500 Derby Legends contest, stop by the cigar rolling station, and grab your best hat for the $1,000 Derby hat contest. Indiana Derby Day, beginning at noon, Saturday, July 11th, presented by Caesars Race and Sportsbook at Horseshoe Indianapolis, located off I-74 at exit 109 in Shelbyville.
Scott Mallory's Fasig-Tipton July consignment offers serious sire power. Hip 11 is by Red Hot Sire of Vacoma, the sire of multiple greatest stakes horses. Hip 54 by Yopon, the sire of stakes-winning fillies Goodall and Veneta. Hip 76 by millionaire Grade 1 winning first crop sire Dr. Shivel, who won greatest stakes at 2, 3, and 4. And Hip 95, a colt by Grade 1 place Loggins with a Blaine Cross, already with a half sibling who's earned $190,000. Don't miss the Scott Mallory consignment in Barn 8 at Fasig-Tipton July.
Live racing is back at Ellis Park Racing and Gaming. The 25-day summer racing season runs through August 23rd with racing every Friday through Sunday throughout the summer with a daily first post of 11:55 a.m. Central, featuring many of racing's top trainers and jockeys and a record $4.125 million stakes schedule across 18 races, including the Summer Showcase Weekend August 1st and 2nd and the Ellis Park Derby Day August 9th. You won't want to miss summer racing at Ellis Park. For more information, visit ellisparkowensborogaming.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Hello, I'm Kurt Becker. Thanks for joining me as I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. She was a high-priced filly of the 1920s, and she broke a North American record which had belonged to Man of War, and she was part of a deep and talented crop of fillies which were foaled in 1924. Her name was Handy Mandy. Foaled at the Beaumont farm of breeder and Keeneland founder Hal Price Headley in Lexington, Kentucky, Handy Mandy was a bay filly by Brown Prince II out of Mandy Hamilton by John O'Gaunt. Her pedigree boasted considerable European influence, and she was a half-sister to Pimlico Futurity winner Holyrood, who was classic placed in the Belmont Stakes. Trained by Sewell Combs for the Headley stable, Handy Mandy went winless as a 2-year-old, and her winless streak continued for the first 5 months of her 3-year-old season. Nonetheless, she was beginning to show signs of potential for the top level by April of 1927. On April 27th that year, Handy Mandy finished runner-up in the Ashland Oaks, known today as the Ashland Stakes, at the Kentucky Association track, which was located on Lexington's East End. 1 month later, she was runner-up to Mary Jane in the 53rd running of the Kentucky Oaks at Churchill Downs. Most observers agreed, however, that the breakout performance for Handy Mandy came in the American Derby at Washington Park in Chicago. Held on June 18, 1927, the race was won by Hydromel, but turf riders seemed impressed with the fact Handy Mandy had given a solid account of herself in finishing second. Handy Mandy left Washington Park that day with a career record of 5 runner-up finishes in 9 career starts, but she had yet to break her maiden. That was about to happen, though, and her first win would come in stylish fashion. Just 1 week after the American Derby, Handy Mandy went to the post for the $25,000 Latonia Derby at the now-defunct Latonia racetrack in northern Kentucky. Carrying 109 pounds, including jockey Earl Poole, Handy Mandy beat males that day and broke Man of War's North American record for 12 furlongs, getting the 1.5 mile distance in 2 minutes 28 and 3/5 seconds. For a race that turf riders had predicted would be uninteresting, Handy Mandy had inspired those same members of the press after the fact to declare the race an instant classic. The record-setting performance had come before a record crowd of 40,000 spectators, and it had many believing that Handy Mandy was the best filly in America. Such lofty opinions became even more pronounced on July 9th, when Handy Mandy returned to Latonia to win the 31st running of the Latonia Oaks at 1.25 miles while carrying 130 pounds. She beat 9 rivals that day, including fillies owned by such luminaries as Colonel E.R. Bradley, the Audley Farms, the Foxcatcher Farms, and Harry Payne Whitney. The Chicago Tribune called her an easy winner and said Handy Mandy was never fully extended. She had been last at the end of the first half mile, but used a belated whirlwind rush through the stretch to completely overwhelm the field, winning with something in reserve before a capacity crowd on a day with ideal weather. The media coverage surrounding Handy Mandy grabbed the attention of a lot of folks, including Texas oil man E.P. Wagoner, who raced under the name 3D Stable. He and his trainer, Boots Darnell, began negotiations for the purchase of the filly, and a shocking announcement came on the morning of Saturday, July 16. With Handy Mandy entered to run in that day's Raceland Derby in Kentucky, Wagoner announced that he had purchased the filly from Headley the night prior to the race. While specifics of the deal were not disclosed, media reports suggested the price had been anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000, roughly the equivalent of $1 million today. But the Raceland Derby would be contested in a driving rainstorm, and Handy Mandy seemed to detest the weather and resulting track conditions. She could do no better than fourth that afternoon, with Kentucky Oaks winner Mary Jane taking the victory. Meanwhile, in New York, a 3-year-old filly named Nimba was beginning to turn heads, especially after romping home an easy winner in the Alabama Stakes at Saratoga. New York turf riders immediately went on the attack, proclaiming Nimba the champion filly of the crop and adding it was a shame Handy Mandy wasn't present to eat her dust. Handy Mandy returned that fall in Maryland, however, and took runner-up against males in the Pimlico Cup Handicap before adding the 1928 Tijuana Cup at 2 miles over males at age 4. She would retire from racing with just 4 wins in 33 starts and earnings of nearly $60,000, and she would produce 8 winners from 12 foals as a broodmare before her death in the early 1950s. Handy Mandy did not win a lot of races, but all 4 of her victories came at distances ranging from 1.25 miles to 2 miles. Because of those wins at classic distances, she was called by turf riders in Kentucky the queen of the Western turf, and it was said that her flying legs could quicken with such a rhythm that it was capable of thrilling the hearts of even the most hardened turf men. Handy Mandy was one of racing's great stories of the summer of 1927, which is why we have taken this time to remember her brief but exciting career at the top level of the game. Please join me again next week when I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. For HRRN, I'm Kurt Becker.
Thanks, Kurt, for that story. If you missed it, go to our website to check out the podcast of every Stroll Through Racing History. And don't forget while you're there to check out our Trainer Talk presented by Fasig-Tipton and sign up for our email newsletters to stay up to date on the latest news and guests set to appear on our shows. Dale and Tim coming up next with I Ask, They Answer. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
This is HRRN, where racing comes to talk.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Colonial Downs summer racing season is here with a new schedule featuring live racing every Thursday through Sunday. Post time 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Back is our popular 12% takeout pick 5 offered twice daily, and play the all-new $3 late pick 3 with a 15% takeout. Join us for our biggest days of the season, Saturday, August 1st at noon for the Colonial Downs Festival of Racing, featuring 8 stakes races, including the Grade 1 Arlington Million, and then closing day, Labor Day, Monday, September 7th, with the Grade 3 Old Dominion Derby. Colonial Downs, the next era of racing.
When it's time to paint the fences and barns, think Farm Paint. At Farm Paint, you get the industry's best coatings and paints factory direct at low, low prices. Farm Paint is your source for quality paints, roof coatings, dustless arena footings, and more. You can purchase online or drop into a Farm Paint store near you with locations in Heart of Bluegrass Country at 700 Phillips Lane in Lexington, Kentucky, Columbus, Ohio, and Sandusky, Ohio. Buy factory direct and save at farmpaint.com. That's farmpaint.com.
A Keeneland session topper from the first crop of the all-conquering Vekoma. Jonathan's Way was touted by purchaser John Moynihan as, quote, one of the best-looking horses you'll ever lay your eyes on. Out of an undefeated stakes-winning juvenile daughter of Indian Charlie, Jonathan's Way is a complete outcross through his first 5 generations and comes from the immediate female family of the great Dynaformer. Brilliantly talented with a pedigree and physical makeup to be commercial dynamite. Jonathan's Way, a future stallion star, standing at Airdrie Stud. Think about it.
This is I Ask, They Answer on the Equine Forum on HRRN.
They're at the top of the stretch, and it's Nitrogen in front by 3 lengths. Fully subscribed, trying her best, but not getting close to Nitrogen. Nitrogen is clearly still the best. She is on top and is absolutely romping home in the Ogden Phipps. Nitrogen trounces them by more than 10 lengths.
A tight photo for second between Fully Subscribed and Bless the Broken. Regaled was fourth in the Ogden Phipps presented by Ford. What a performance from Nitrogen.
Frank Miramati had the call. What a performance. Nitrogen certainly did her part last year to help Dale's team victory secure a third consecutive win in our annual showdown competition. Will she be back on Dale's team this year as he attempts to make more history by completing the Grand Slam? Our 2026 draft is coming up shortly. Plus, is there a horse racing league on the horizon which might actually work? And right or wrong, the ride by Paco Lopez and the wild applause on opening day of the Saratoga meet was, quote, gross, careless riding. We'll debate those topics and much more coming up, including our Showdown 5 draft straight ahead on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer with trainer Dale Romans and turf rider Tim Wilkin, all presented by the University of Louisville, Equine Industry Program in the College of Business, and all starting just 30 seconds from right now.
A spark turns into a dream, and your dreams fuel a love that will last a lifetime. Turn your passion into a career with experienced guidance, a thorough study of equine business, as well as opportunities to get your hands dirty and put your mind to work. Located in the heart of horse country, let your passion fuel your profession at the U of L Equine Industry Program. Apply today.
Dale, Tim, Angela, and me, all ready to roll on this edition of I Ask, They Answer. And guys, we're going to get to our draft in just a few minutes. We've had listeners already email the show telling us who they think is going to win this year's competition. So we'll find out which horses end up on which teams in a little bit. But we have three topics to get to first. And number one, regarding the Horse Racing League, Greg Maffei and Danny Epstein have joined forces with many of racing's leading owners to create what is being called the Horse Racing League, and it's scheduled to launch in February, with league events being held at Gulfstream, Santa Anita, and Keeneland next year. Now, we've seen these league concepts come and go, but with Maffei having experience in developing Formula One and Epstein, the CEO of investment firm Bond Ventures, you have to wonder, you see organizations like Godolphin saying, okay, we're going to donate $6 million or invest $6 million into this league. Guys, this one feels a little different. So I'm going to ask you, Dale, does this horse racing league have some legs?
Yeah, I've talked to these guys. We've been talking about it for about a year, so I knew it was coming. And they're sharp guys. It had a lot to do with F1, the blow up of F1, and they think they've got a system in place that can work. So, yeah, I think if it could work, this will be the time, and we'll find out soon.
Do you like the idea of these types of league concepts with horse racing?
Well, yeah, anything that's going to promote the sport. And one of their points is, you get behind a horse and he only races X number of times and he's gone. If you got behind a league, sort of like you do in NASCAR, you have your team that you're cheering for, and you can follow on and on and on, and it grow the sport as far as people just being entertained by watching horse racing.
Tim, what do you think?
I'm a little skeptical, only because I'm confused as to where the horses are going to come from. I know that they're having a draft, and they're looking for like 80 allowance level type horses, so it's not going to be like, you're not going to see like a Sovereignty or Renegade or a Nitrogen or something like that. I don't know what the quality will be like. I mean, if it's going to be something new and different, and more power to these people for trying it. But to me, it's like I think people get behind horses that they know, and I don't know if people are going to know who these horses are. If it's just like just allowance type horses, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of buzz about it, because you're not going to have like the LeBron James of horse racing in this league. You're not going to have superstar horses. That would be my big concern.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tim.
Battle, but hopefully it works.
I think you're right with that being the biggest concern. It's different than, let's take Formula One, for example, where you can latch on to a driver that's going to be a star driver in that league for many years. It's a little different concept here when you're talking about equine athletes that come and go so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there comes a horse that at this type of competition becomes a star. He's not going to be maybe a star of the entire sport, but for this level, maybe you'll have one horse that dominates the competition as they go from Gulfstream, Santa Anita, and Keeneland, and the three stops they have. Maybe there's one horse or a couple horses that form a rivalry. I don't know. I mean, I think it would be great for the sport if it did that, but I think it's going to take a while before people really grasp onto it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like, and we've talked about this before from the marketing angle, marketing the sport that we have now and learning how to do that first before introducing a second concept might be a better way to do it. But hey, what do I know? Maybe this horse racing league becomes a huge success too.
Well, if it's something that, they've got some major players that are getting behind this, and, that's good, I guess. But, I'm going to take the wait and see attitude. I'd like to see how it comes about to be. And, it's, I think people that follow horse racing are going to be following the big horses, not necessarily these horses.
No, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Again, the league scheduled to launch in February. We'll see how everything plays out. Though. Yeah, good. I mean, good luck. It's worth a shot, I guess. Topic 1 is in the books. We move on to topic 2, and that means only one thing, Angela.
Yes, that means that it is time to say hello to our friend Nick Zito and give Dale and Tim the chance to tell us if the following statements are right or wrong.
Yeah, right or wrong. Am I right? What do you think? Right or wrong?
One of the more scary instances from opening weekend at Saratoga. 2 weeks after being named Jockey of the Week by the Jockeys Guild, Paco Lopez was back in the headlines this week after receiving a 30-day suspension from the New York State Gaming Commission for, quote, gross, careless riding, resulting in a 4-horse spill in the Wild Applause Stakes on opening day at Saratoga. Paco Lopez has been granted a stay after appealing the ruling. And do you guys agree with the commission that the ride by Lopez was gross, careless riding? Right or wrong?
Think? Right or wrong?
Tim?
I'm going to say I don't agree with it because Paco Lopez, his reputation, I think, is what got him 30 days. He's had incidents in the past. The incident when he down at Parks when he slugged the horse, which was obviously wrong, and he paid for that. And he's had incidents during his career where he's been suspended. I think this suspension was because of who was the rider on the horse. I mean, I don't think Paco Lopez was intentionally trying to clip heels with another horse and go down and cause. He was the one that went down first. You think he wanted to do that on purpose? I don't think so. I thought I thought he would get suspended, but I was thinking maybe 10 days. I thought 30 was too much, and I think that it's because of his reputation. And it's almost like he's being made an example of, and I don't think it's fair to him. I mean, I know he's got a checkered past, but come on, let's. He's also a competitor, and I don't think he was trying to do anything on purpose, and it just happened. He clipped heels with a horse, and it's fortunate that no one really got killed in that race. It's remarkable that all 4 horses got up, even though I Love Giraffe did fracture the hip, and Javier Castellano is out for a couple weeks. But it could have been much worse. But I just think he's being made a scapegoat here.
I'm going to say that none of us have been able to watch the replay enough to analyze it, to see. But you also have to look at his past record. I mean, you're talking about a guy that clipped heels galloping out with Abar Cola and partially paralyzed. You're talking about a guy that clipped heels with Romero Mirage, missed a year from back surgery. You're talking about he rode a horse for me, clipped heels and went down on his own by himself. Some of these guys, one of these days, they say we're not riding if he's in the race. Even though if he didn't mean to, you've got to be able to control your horse and know where you are and what you're doing. And it was you're right. He died. That was as bad as I've seen in a long time. 4 horses go down the way they did. So I don't know. I don't think watching a little bit of the tape that I saw, nothing happened to cause it other than Paco's sloppiness. He needs to pick the reins up and know where he is all the time. I mean, had a jockey tell me the other day, they actually disagree. I'm not sure it was, but he actually disagreed with him getting that many days. But he was telling me he was riding with him one day, and he's looking off to the side. And there's a horse stopping in front of him. He said he thought they were all going down because Paco wasn't watching where he was going. I like Paco, and horses run for Paco, but that's dangerous out there. And he's got to eventually, you got to pay attention to it. Nobody's gone down more than him in any riding career I've been to say in anybody's life.
So harsh penalty, but maybe by his reputation that he's earned. So perhaps a bit harsh, but yeah, he's definitely put up that reputation for himself, I suppose. So that's what they think.
It's not only reputation. I mean, it's history. It's fact.
Past performances, yeah.
Yeah.
The past performances are fact. I named 2 jockeys that were seriously hurt because of their sloppy riding. And you can go to the Fountain of the Florida Derby, where he dropped 2 of Bill Mott's horses in the same race. Mm-hmm. That's not counting the other ones we're talking about.
Yeah.
And, eventually something's got to change before somebody dies, even himself. And my horse he rode for me, he just absolutely, nobody else went down thinking this. He just dropped himself, ran up a horse's heels and went down. I thought he was popped back up and rode the next race. One thing about him, he's Teflon. He doesn't get hurt.
Dale, you say maybe one day riders say, you know what, that guy's in the race. We're not riding races with this jockey. Do you ever see that happening?
Never heard of it happen before, but it wouldn't surprise me a bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right, we're going to bring Nick Zito.
Those cases of top-level jockeys that we can just name off the top of our head 4 major accidents that were caused by him.
Yep. We're going to bring that segment back next week, right or wrong. Nick Zito will be with us to do the honors here on I Ask, They Answer. Guys, we got one more topic before we get to our fantasy draft, the Showdown 5 competition. It comes from Tom in St. Louis. He actually has a couple of questions. He said, we talk about marketing quite often here on the show, and we do. And Tom brings up Saratoga's giveaways and their popularity every single year. And he wants to know why more racetracks don't try harder to get a live crowd with those types of promotions. Timmy, what do you think?
Well, I mean, Tom has a good point there, but I think there are a lot of racetracks that do have giveaways. I mean, Saratoga's been famous for it because the summer meet, and they know they're going to get big crowds for the most part, and they've always had giveaways. This year they have 11 of them, which is, I think, a little too much. But you've seen giveaways at Belmont Park, you've seen giveaways at Aqueduct, you've seen giveaways, I believe, at Keeneland, but not maybe to the extent that they do at Saratoga. Like Friday at Saratoga, they gave out T-shirts, which was always the go-to. Let's go get our Christmas gifts today for people, and they'd be spinning for 15 or 20 of them. Always a popular one. It's part of the culture at Saratoga. Maybe it doesn't work at other places. I don't. Would people be going to get giveaways in the middle of the winter? But it helps that it's in the summertime. That that people will come to the track and get something free for a paid admission. I don't think it works in the winter. I just don't think it would. Maybe in the fall it would, but not in the winter.
Yeah, it's a funny thing to watch up here, dude. They're inflated numbers, for one. You'll see people going through, getting back in line, getting their car to go get their freebie, going back in line, getting another one, going out with bundles of T-shirts. And does it equate to a bigger handle? And I don't think at most other places it would. And it is a culture up here. I mean, people look forward to the giveaway day. It always amazes me somebody will spend $10 in gas to go get a $5 T-shirt that costs Saratoga $5 to give away. You just offer them something for free, they'll show up.
Some of these people, they get the giveaways, they spin for an hour, and then they go home. They don't even stay for the race.
They go home. Don't watch a race. It is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Been like that for years.
Yes.
Yes, it has. So as far as, there's a lot of ways to promote. Giveaways are fun here, but I don't think that they really do much for the bottom line, all these other tracks. And To be quite honest, Churchill Downs rather sit at home bet on TwinSpires.
Yeah, Tom, we appreciate the question. I mentioned he had two. We're going to save his second question for next week's show. So, Tom, you got to wait one more week to get the answer to your second question. We will do that next week because we want to make sure that we have enough time for the Showdown 5 draft, which is just moments away. One thing Tom did mention, though, guys, he watched the movie A Bronx Tale. And as you know, my team name in the competition is Team Mush. And there is a character in A Bronx Tale called the Mush. And he says, I am not the Mush. And he predicts that I am going to win the Showdown competition this year. How about that?
I thought we had a smarter audience than we do, I guess.
I knew that was coming, Dale.
Yeah.
Tom said this?
And this guy's a handicapper?
Well, he doesn't know who he's talking about either. You know, the reason that I'm known as the Mush is because of my horrible betting history growing up. And I actually lost a bet on a football game after the game was official. The game was final, and I saw the final score, and I lost. True story.
You're admitting that?
How?
They put the score, it was the Patriots and the Vikings. They put the score up on the television, and it showed that the Vikings beat the Patriots. I am not a Patriot fan, so I called my cousin who is a Patriot fan, and I told him, hey, sorry about your Patriots. Sorry they lost today. He said, what do you mean they won? I said, what do you mean they won? I just saw the score. He said, I watched the game. They won. Went back, watched the TV. The television channel had put the wrong score up there the first time after I made a bet with my cousin. Because I saw the score. They put the wrong score up there. They corrected it, put the right score up. The Patriots won. I lost my bet.
It was just on your team.
You were dealing with the Vikings. You should have known what you were getting into, Mike. I mean, from someone who knows. Yeah.
True story.
They'll break your heart.
We have to move on because it is that time of the show. We've been promising you this. It is the Showdown 5 competition. And as we prepare to officially open the draft for this competition here on I Ask, They Answer, 5th consecutive year, by the way, guys. That is something we're very proud of. I think it's appropriate to recognize the greatness that we have all been privy to over the past 4 seasons. An achievement so monumental, so incredibly epic, historic, and colossal, it could only be given one title. Welcome to the 2026 edition of Dale's Dynasty.
Thank you very much. I want to congratulate Michael on a hard fight. That's sort of like an amateur playing in the Masters.
He wins the Masters.
And Timmy, shame. It was simply awful. You know, I thought about retiring after this victory, but I think I'm coming back to fight another fight. And we've argued about Horse of the Year, but we can't argue about Handicapper of the Year. I won that race like Secretariat winning the Belmont.
He is moving like a tremendous machine.
And there's a lot of people that need to be thanked. But first of all, in the words of Snoop Dogg, I want to thank me.
Last but not least, I want to thank me.
I want to thank me for dedicating my life to this game, for this moment when I can become the only 2-time winner of the HRRN handicapping competition. I never would have thought something like this would have happened, even though I was playing against Larry and Curly. It's one of the greatest things to ever happen, and I appreciate all my supporters out there that cheered me on to the victory.
Dale, you're a 3-time Breeders' Cup winning trainer. Where does this victory in the competition rank for you in your entire career?
Well, the first Breeders' Cup was exciting because you never know if you're going to do it again. It has to be right behind that, I would think. It's pretty important to me. And I try to tell you the truth, right after Anna won, and I knew I had cinched the second victory, I thought about just retiring from the show. But after consulting with a lot of people in my life, there's a lot more to be said, so I'm still here.
You win!
Thank you. Let me just tell you guys, and it's no knock to you, but it's really not that big accomplishment. It's like LeBron James playing in the G League.
It's really not much of a rivalry, is it, Dale?
It hasn't become much, but dynasties are good. People like dynasties.
That's right. Eat your heart out.
Yeah, I'm going to have myself a Triple Crown trophy made.
Probably have a parade in Louisville.
Yep. Hey, that's Hambo at his best right there.
He's the best there is.
And with that, we begin the 2026 draft for the Showdown 5 competition. Dale Romans, who completed the Triple Crown last year, going for the Grand Slam here this season. Dale, I know you're not going to get the top pick this year. We can't have it happen again, can we?
You know what? I'm already working on my acceptance speech for this year. I didn't realize how good the last ones were. I've got a lot to live up to. But I also want to thank Lee for putting that montage together excellently. I did deserve it, and you lived up to it and gave me a great montage.
That was awesome.
Timmy, how'd you like that?
Why don't we just not even have the draft? Why don't we just give it to him right now and save everybody the pain of listening to his dribble for the next 4 months?
You know, Timmy, that probably would save you a lot of respect and humiliation that you have coming. But let's do this thing. Let's do it again. You know, I told all my friends, I don't bet on horses because it's too easy. It's not even fun.
Well, because you're so good at it.
Yeah, it's too easy. I quit playing checkers and moved to chess because it was too easy.
Jesus.
Well, let's remind people that Timmy won the first showdown competition. Dale has won the next 3. I have yet to win, but we introduced Angela to the competition this year. So we're going to have 4 teams. Each of us will draw 5 horses as our primary 5 horses and 2 alternates. So we'll draw 7 horses total. And then we'll be awarded points if those horses finish first, second, or third in any race. It doesn't matter. But a little twist to this year's competition, guys. A horse that wins a Grade 1 stakes race is going to be awarded a 5-point bonus. So Grade 1s are essentially worth 15 points. How about that?
No.
You don't like that?
No. As a matter of fact, that's a rule we're going to throw out the window. I handicapped. I did my work. And you're going to tell me when we're on the show, 20 minutes in, that the rules have changed?
You don't like the bonus? You win all the Grade 1s.
No. I've got 3 maidens on my thing that people have never heard of. That haven't even started.
That's what I was just going to say. You got a bunch of horses that have never even run before that are going to run through their conditions.
Everyone should be out there on the streets. I mean, I had to talk to Todd today. I had to talk to Danny Gargan and Steve and go around, and I had to get all these good maidens. And now you're going to change the rules last minute?
Well, how do you know these maidens can run?
I don't. But we're going to find out. It seems to work the last 3 years. And I want to say one thing. I did lose the first year, but that was before I quit drinking. I'm undefeated sober.
That is very true. All right, well, Dale, you're the defending champ. You're the defending champ. If you say no bonus, it's no bonus.
No, here's what I say we should do. We're going to make our draft, and let's leave it up to Shane from North Carolina to decide whether there's a bonus or not.
Wow, you're putting it on Shane.
Yeah, I'll make him the judge. I'll live with what he says.
All right.
Shane in North Carolina, you had the final say if there should be a 5-point bonus for a Grade 1 victory by any horse in the competition. If you say yes, it will be upheld. If you say no, then we will get rid of it. But we're going to do our draft right now. Lee has to draw Lee's doing a blind draw in the studio. Lee, give us the draft order, then we'll get started.
All right, you guys, I'm going to do my duty as producer here first and tell you, let's move this quickly, okay? I'm drawing names out of a hat. I swear I do not know what names I'm picking. I folded them up. Dale, you're first.
What?
No.
Roman's payroll.
Tim, you're second.
Everybody.
What?
Okay.
Mike, you're third.
Oh, come on.
Well, that means Angela. Well, I'll just
the new
confirm
kid.
it. Maybe I wrote down the wrong name. Angela, you're fourth.
All right.
Magnitude.
Magnitude for Dale.
All right.
Tim?
Englishman.
Ooh, that's a good one. Englishman. All right. I'll go with Nisos.
I will take Explorer, and I'm going to go out of left field. I'm going to take Burnham Square.
Nice, that's a good one.
All right, so it's my pick again. How about Commandment?
It's up to me now?
Yep.
I'm going to take Counting Stars.
That's all. Damn, you all got my. I didn't think you'd take Englishman. And Nisos is off the board.
Yep.
And those are going to run against each other over here. So let's go Ways and Means.
All right, you got another one, Dale.
Nitrogen. She's back.
Timmy, your team lost in the fog, so who you got?
Renegade.
All right, I will go with Rhetorical.
I'm going to take the Puma and and Supercharger.
So it's back to me. Give me, how about Horse of the Year, Sovereignty.
Okay. I'm going to take Baeza.
Dale?
If I could read my writing or had glasses, this would be a lot quicker. Give me Obliteration.
All right. One more, Dale.
I want to take Powerline.
Powerline. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And those are your primary 5. You got 2 alternates left. We'll get to those in a minute. Timmy?
Okay, my 5th, I'm going to take, that Steve asked me some grass runner, what, Laginos?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I will go with Splendora. Angela?
I gotta get somebody with some speed. I'm gonna take Solitude Dude.
You got one more.
Now we're into the alternates?
Yeah, these are the alternates.
These are your alternates. These will only come into play if one of your 5 primary horses is injured or off the trail for some reason, out of training.
Okay. I will take Suna, Swayze's filly. Sunna. She's going to run this weekend.
All right. Give me Mark Cassian Classic Q.
Okay. Now it's up to me?
Yep.
I'm going to take Always a Runner.
Dale, you got your 2 alternates. Who you got?
Dak. I meant to put him in my major 5 and I messed up. Y'all ever heard of him?
Nope.
You will by today's end. And I messed that whole thing up. Knightsbridge.
A little uncertainty from the Triple Crown winner.
I know, he's worried.
Yeah. So y'all got me. I didn't expect you to pick a couple, and then I forgot to put my other maiden in, Dak.
Timmy?
My second alternate, I'm going to take Skippy Longstocking.
Okay. All right, I'll take White Abaria.
Oh, not to be outdone in the Saffy Joseph.
Gotta have a Saffy Joseph horse. Angela?
All right, my final alternate. I'll throw Further Ado in there.
The Derby favorite.
He loves Keeneland. We'll see if he heads back there in the fall.
Yeah. Good call. All right, so there you go. Those are the teams. We're going to have them posted on our website here shortly. We'll encourage you to let us know which team you think is going to win. Will it be Dale's team victory for a 4th consecutive year? Will it be Timmy's Lost in the Fog, my team mush, or will it be Angela's? Angela, what the heck was your team name?
We're the Steam Team. Yeah, we've already got stickers, merch, the whole thing. Guess we needed to keep up with Dale, but I'm trying.
Guys, we're going to give it a shot. Let's see how it goes. The contest is open. It begins with the races this afternoon, runs all the way through Breeders' Cup Saturday, and the points totals will be updated on our website, horseracingradio.net, every single week. And speaking of week, we have our final point of the week. And Timmy, why don't you kick us off?
We just did the draft. I'm going to win. No argument. Dale, your reign is over.
Now all I'm going to say is Timmy stole Renegade right out from under me. He talked to Todd today, too.
I didn't.
Renegade and the Englishman. And then I forgot to put Dak in the middle, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, y'all know what's going to happen. Heavy as a head to wears the crown, but I'll put it on my head.
Guys, have fun. Enjoy the weekend, and all the best in the Showdown 5.
All right, guys, next week. Girls.
And we'll do it all over
Yeah,
next
good luck
week.
to everyone.
Bye, guys and girls.
If you have a topic you want to hear Dale and Tim discuss, email the topic to us, Mike@horseracingradio.net. We'll do our best to work it in. I Ask the Answer is presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program in the College of Business. I'm back with more, including the answer to this week's Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question next on the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
Here we go.
Come on, boys. Good luck. And they're off. Be part of the story. Own the moment. Go to MojoRacingPartners.com to get your mojo working.
Here's today's STEM tip. Don't throw out that old plastic bottle. Repurpose it by turning it into an awesome terrarium. Just fill it with sand, pebbles, soil, and your favorite plant. It'll grow sealed right in its own ecosystem. Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
A message from Joshua Jackson, actor and Fair Volunteer Ambassador.
Food allergy is a serious, life-threatening disease that impacts over 33 million Americans. When your immune system sees certain food proteins as a threat, every bite matters. But here's the good news. There have been advancements in the treatment of food allergies, and with one voice, we can create better awareness. Because in the FAIR community, the disease doesn't own us. We own our journey. Talk to an allergist to understand your options. Visit foodallergy.org/empower to learn more.
Remember the last time your family visited the forest? It's a place of wonder and imagination for the whole family, where stories come to life. And it's closer than you think. Ready to plan your next visit? Make the forest part of your story today at a local park near you, or find one at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Moving Day, a walk for Parkinson's, is happening around the country. Together we can unite in the fight against Parkinson's disease in a safe but exciting and fun way. So let's get moving. Join the Parkinson's Foundation to learn more and register at movingdaywalk.org.
Thursday evenings, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, is the Brisnet.com call-in show. It's your chance to call in and let the Horse Racing Radio Nation know what's on your mind. Call us at 888-966-HRRN. That's 888-966-4776. And discuss the topics you choose in the world of thoroughbred racing. The Brisnet.com call-in show. Sirius 162, XM 207, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Blood Horse Magazine is the premier monthly publication of the thoroughbred industry. Golden Tempo did it again. The July Belmont Stakes results issue of the Blood Horse Magazine is out now. And American Horse Publications Equine Media General Excellence Award winner, a Blood Horse Magazine subscription is a must-read for any true racing enthusiast. Visit bloodhorse.com/subscribe to get your print or digital subscription today. And for a limited time, receive a free Blood Horse branded tote with your subscription or renewal. Blood Horse Magazine, the premier monthly publication of the thoroughbred industry.
All right, it's time now to bring you the answer to this week's Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question. Lee Delapina has it. Lee?
Thank you, Mike. In what Ian Fleming novel does super spy James Bond travel to Saratoga? That was the 1956 novel Diamonds Are Forever. Saratoga Racetrack serves as a backdrop for the mob's illegal horse racing operations. James Bond travels to Saratoga to monitor a rigged horse race and deliver a payoff. Author Ian Fleming actually visited Saratoga in August of 1954 to research the racecourse for the book. These scenes, however, were not featured in the 1971 movie adaptation. Thanks to Mojo Racing Partners for this week's Impossible Trivia question. Get your mojo working at mojoracingpartners.com.
How great is that? Fantastic stuff from Lee Delapina. Angela, another one in the books. And your first ever Showdown competition draft.
We learn something new every week from Lee and learned a lot in the draft this year. So good luck, guys. Good luck beating me, but we'll see how things pan out. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, good luck to you as well. And looking forward to next week and looking forward to what is going to be a great day of racing coming up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week and beyond. We got a lot coming up with Del Mar, Saratoga, racing all across the country. Summer is the best.
Our thanks to all of our guests for making this show possible, to Lee Delapina in our Lexington studios, Chauncey for handling all of our social media, and to all of you for tuning in to the Equine Forum. For Angela Hermann, I'm Mike Penna. Thanks for listening to the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Go Steelers!